I'm Christine Lisi. Several changes in Tampa Bay. 3 days after the season-ending loss in the NFC wildcard game to the Cowboys, the Buccaneers fired offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. 8 other coaches have left the staff. Tampa Bay in 2022 ranked 25th in the NFL in points per game, averaging 18.4 points. Also had the worst rushing attack in the league. Greg Roman stepped down as Ravens offensive coordinator amid massive criticism and player frustration. Baltimore's scoring had decreased in each of Roman's 4 seasons as the team's play caller. This move likely made with pending free agent quarterback Lamar Jackson in mind, says Fitz and Harry co-host Harry Douglas.
This could be a stepping stone in the direction that the Baltimore Ravens needed to go for Lamar Jackson, number one, to thrive as a quarterback, even more so than he has since he's been in the National Football League, but also a stepping stone for them to repair their relationship that has been rocky the last few weeks.
Coach John Harbaugh said Jackson will be involved in the search for the team's new OC. NBA Celtics guard Jaylen Brown with an adductor strain questionable against the Warriors tonight, 7 Eastern, ESPN Radio.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Stephen A. will be here at the top of hour 3. Former Saints GM Randy Mueller, 1 hour from right now. We're looking forward to that. I will certainly ask Randy Mueller about the process in what it would be like courting Sean Payton right now. So we'll get into all that with a former GM, a former Saints GM, who was a one-time NFL Executive of the Year. We're looking forward to having Randy Mueller with us. Paul Nolan at the bottom of hour 2 as well. So the Saints go 7-10. They miss the playoffs for the second consecutive year, and you better believe changes were going to come. There was no way you could have a season like the Saints just did, where you invested so much in the offseason, multiple trades in round 1 to get a franchise wide receiver, your franchise left tackle. Sean Payton, of course, retires. You retain Dennis Allen, Pete Carmichael to make sure you keep all the culture around. You re-sign Jameis Winston. You bring in Andy Dalton. You sign Jarvis. You sign Tyron. This is supposed to be it. You're making a run. And you go 7-9. You better believe heads were going to roll when the Saints go 7-9. Excuse me, 7-10. 17-game season. Old habits die hard. You better believe heads were going to roll when the Saints go 7-10. But Mickey Loomis told us that Dennis Allen was being retained. Okay. You retain DA. The defense actually improved late in the season. You finished top 5 in total defense. You could make the argument. All right. But look at that offensive side. Can you imagine the conversations? The hard conversations Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen certainly had to have this offseason. Well, Mike Triplett tweeted a bit ago, Saints are not planning to replace OC Pete Carmichael or any other assistants beyond Dan Roushar at this point. Although the team knows it needs to be better on offense, they believe in Carmichael and his track record. Adding to the offensive staff is still possible. Oh! Can you imagine how that meeting went with Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen? You know, Dennis, we're real disappointed in this season. That's how Mickey Loomis talks. Dennis, we invested a lot. We believed in you. Great run with Sean Payton. We could have gone out and gotten anybody. We believed in you, and the defense came along. I don't know. Is Mickey Loomis from Boston? I'm going a little Boston there, huh? Does that sound a little Boston?
Yes.
We believed in you, kid. But this is not going to stand. For the better part of 2 decades, we had the most consistent offense. Maybe I'm now in New York. We had the most consistent offense in the NFL over the course of 2 decades. And now, averaging 19 points a game, it's a joke. It's a joke, Dennis. It's a joke. Head's got to roll. You're right, Mick. That's how Dennis Allen talks.
I don't think that's how Dennis Allen talks.
Just go with it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right, Mick. Things got to change. We can't stay this course. Things got to change, Mick. I get it. We'll do what we need to do. Hey, Roushar, you fired! They went after Dan Roushar. What? They finally blew out Dan Roushar? That's your big response? The running game coordinator? The guy who's been here for 10 years? Who's done every damn thing on the offensive side of the ball? Dude's coached offensive line. He's coached running backs. He's coached tight ends. He's the running backs coordinator. I would argue that Juwan Johnson might be the most pleasant surprise. He's the tight ends coach, along with run game coordinator, and he coaches tight ends. I could argue Juwan Johnson's emergence this season as tight end is the biggest surprise of the offense. That, Rashid Shaheed, those two maybe hand in hand. You've been begging for an option, a pass-catching option at tight end since you blew out Jimmy Graham. You've gone the Kobe Fleener route. You went back to Ben Watson and as he was aging. You went to Jared Cook. You drafted Adam Troutman. You finally hit on one, an undrafted free agent receiver who's converted to tight end. You blow out the tight ends coach. That's your answer? Oh, no doubt. That's going to do it. Yeah, you know what? That's going to do it. That's what's going to bring us back, baby. That's what's going to bring us back to the black and gold Super Bowl. Thank God that bum, that no good bum, that dead weight, the albatross around the neck of this organization, Dan Roushar, is finally gone. That's the move that needed to be made. Get rid of him. Get rid of him, Hughes. We all knew. We knew it was Roushar all along.
Run it back, Matt.
You know what?
Run it back.
Bring back Dalton as well.
Yes.
Bring back Jameis, too.
Bring him back.
Give me Eno Benjamin.
I mean, look.
All
you
of
had
it.
2 300-yard passing games this year. Run it back.
Run it back.
Great.
Let's go.
You lost both of those, but it doesn't matter.
You know what? Mark Ingram fumbling in a tie ball game at the 10-yard line in the fourth quarter against the Bucks. Roushar's fault. Blow him out. Get rid of that bum. Run him out of here.
Mark Ingram not picking up the first down that cost you your season. Roushar.
Both Bucks games. Clearly Roushar's fault. Get rid of him. Hey, remember when they went to Carolina?
Yeah.
Remember when they went to Carolina? Kamara, fumble. Scoop and score, Carolina. You know whose fault that was?
Dan Roushar.
Roushar. Blow him out. Get rid of that bum.
25 turnovers in all, Matt. Top 5 worst in the NFL. We're running it back,
Brutal.
though.
Run it back.
Run it back.
Run it back with Andy. Run it back with Sneaky Pete. Give me it all. You know what? Speaking of Pete's, give me more Andrews Pete. I know they're thinking about him being a cap casualty. Can't do it. We know the real problem was the run game coordinator, that bum, that no good chump, Dan Roushar. Finally gone.
He's the reason you got shut out for the first time since 2001.
Had to be.
First time since 01.
Faced
Roushar.
a lot of good defenses since then, haven't they, Muse?
Yeah.
Lots of good defenses. I know San Francisco's got a good defense. Roushar. His fault. Black and gold Super Bowl. We running it back. We getting back. Now that dead weight's off of our neck. That ball and chain no longer affixed to our ankle. How about that? 7 points against Carolina in Week 18. You score on the opening possession of the ball game. You don't score again. Roushar.
Get ready for a career year for Alvin Kamara.
Get ready for it. You know what else?
What?
Will Lutz hitting at about a 74% clip. You know whose fault that was, right?
The running game coordinator.
Dope. I mean, what do you get out of the way? I mean, we saw you mixing up his kicking nets and such.
If your running backs were scoring touchdowns, we wouldn't need him to kick field goals.
That's right. Roushar. Thank God. Andy Dalton, 2 picks. Not one. 2 picks. Not one. Not one. 2 pick sixes.
Back to back.
Against Arizona. You know who dialed up them plays?
Dan Roushar.
It was probably Pete Carmichael.
Oh.
But you know who was standing next to him?
Dan Roushar.
And who passed gas in front of Pete Carmichael, which distracted him?
Roushar.
And why they had to have a really quick play get in there that was terrible?
Dan Roushar.
Roushar.
We're running it back.
Get rid of him. Thank God. The black and gold Super Bowl. It's time. I'm wearing black today, Muse. I'm wearing black.
So am I.
You know what it is? It's Dan Roush's funeral day is what it is. Not the man himself, but his tenure with the Saints. Thank God. We got to the root of the issue. It's not incompetent players. It's not inept drafting or cap management. It's not a head coach who has no business being a head coach and has proven time again that he's not going to win at the highest level. It's not a 35-year-old quarterback that's well past his prime and even in his prime was never elite. You know what it was?
I know what it was.
What was it?
It was Dan Roushar.
You're damn right it was. And today the Saints have purged themselves of that no-good son of a bugger.
17-0.
It's about time.
Here it go. Here
Let's
we go,
do it.
man.
Hey, Mercury Morris and the Miami Dolphins from 72. Keep that champagne on ice. The black and gold Super Bowl is coming right up your donkey at 17-0. Here we go with the accents again. I don't know why.
Yeah, I
don't know why.
The Saints play in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Not New York, not Boston.
I don't get it. Hey, Canada?
Yeah.
Hey,
I like that.
Hey, Dan Roushar. Gone. It's about time. Give me some more of that, Buse. Give me the black and gold Super Bowl. That's what I need in my life. Inject it into my veins. That's what I need.
Yeah, New York, there you go.
Huh. You see, Muse? Maybe it's what we needed all along, was the accents. Like you're from Long Island. Speaking of Long Island, speaking of New York, Stephen A., Hour 3. The pride of Queens, New York. Stephen A. Smith. You know he's from Hollis, Queens. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, actually.
You know Christmas in Hollis?
Yeah.
It's Christmas time in Hollis, Queens.
Yes.
It's where Stephen A.'s from.
Love it.
Dan Roushar. Did they really scapegoat Dan Roushar?
Yeah.
I couldn't be I couldn't be less confident about the future of this organization than I am in this moment. That season that you just had, and you scapegoat Dan Roushar. Tampa blew out Byron Leftwich.
And 7 others.
Bro!
And 7 others.
They made the playoffs. Terrible division. But they lost their whole offensive line. All their receivers.
Gronk.
They lost that 45-year-old Tom Brady. They blew out Byron Leftwich.
Yeah.
The Saints canned Dan Roushar. What? Was the water boy under contract?
Yeah.
Was the buyout?
The cap hit's too big
Was
on
the
the water
buyout
boy.
too much?
Can't trade him. He's untradeable. It had to be Roushar.
Untouchable. Was it Loomis's kid? What are we doing? Dan Roushar is your answer.
Mm-hmm. One of those things, right, that you just have to laugh so you don't cry type
That's
deals?
where I am.
I
had 2 choices to start the show today, Muse. We talked about it. I mean, I could have just gone off, right? I could have just blown a gasket, which I'm apt to do. Or we could just make fun of the whole thing. And the Saints have now become a comedy of errors, is what they are. Dan Roushar. Poor guy. Can somebody get Dan Roushar on the phone?
God.
Can we get Dan Roushar? Dan, open invite. You come co-host till you get a new job. I'll split my salary, talent, all with you, Dan. Come hang out until you get a new job. Come hang out. I got you, bro. They blew out Dan. It's unfathomable. Their answer is we're going to blow out Dan Roushar, the running game coordinator. Okay. I bet you wherever Sean Payton gets hired, I bet you he hires Dan Roushar. That albatross. Down goes Payton. Holy moly. Okay. Whatever. It's after further review. Go to break.
AFR.
Man, the response to our friends over at New Orleans Flooring has been fantastic. So sincerely, thank you. New sponsor here in 2023 is New Orleans Flooring. You can learn more online at nolaflooring.com. Again, nolaflooring.com. They've got, obviously, a showroom in New Orleans and then a showroom on Airline Highway in Prairieville as well. The big differentiator for New Orleans Flooring is that they keep their merchandise, their inventory, in stock. Over 1 million square foot of product in stock. So they're able to cut out the middleman. They can save you 40, 50% on flooring. And this is high quality, the same brand you get everywhere else, and their own in-house brand as well, the Strong Built brand. Look, it doesn't matter if it's carpet or tile or if it is hardwood, laminate. They do it all at New Orleans Flooring. Learn more at nolaflooring.com. Order today, install tomorrow. It's nolaflooring.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $8,500 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. New 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $8,500 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
I'm glad you're rolling along with us here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Former Saints GM Randy Mueller in about 40 minutes. If you haven't seen yet, Sean Payton, of course, did conduct his interview with the Denver Broncos. There's still reports out there that Payton is going to command north of $20 million a year we had that conversation on Tuesday with Sean Salisbury about whether or not that's a realistic number, and some may push back against it, but I will remind you, what was reported about the attempt by the Miami Dolphins after they fired Brian Flores and they were attempting to bring in Sean Payton and Tom Brady. What was reported was a $100 million deal for Sean Payton over 4 or 5 years. So that would put it in the $20 to $25 million a year range. So that number may seem outlandish and absurd, but there was an owner Stephen Ross was willing to pay that a year ago with the Miami Dolphins. So, perhaps, David Tepper in Carolina or the Walmart family in Denver. I mean, they've got the money. You're talking about the two wealthiest ownership groups in the NFL. I mean, they certainly could afford it if they're trying to make that splash higher with their head coach. So I want to talk to Randy Mueller next hour about that to see, if that's something that would be considered even, or, how even those conversations go about, because coaches' salaries don't have to be made public in the NFL. So, while there's no, salaries for head coaches don't count against the cap. So there's no ceiling, but similarly, there's no floor. So how does all that go about? We'll talk about that again with Randy Mueller, former Saints GM, at the top of the next hour. You probably saw this news today. The Ole Miss quarterback room got a little more crowded today. Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State, who's been a 4-year starter there, did in fact announce today his commitment to Ole Miss. So a day after Walker Howard committed to Ole Miss, Spencer Sanders committed to Ole Miss. And I know this probably caught a lot of people off guard to say, well, why would Walker Howard leave LSU to go into essentially the same situation at Ole Miss, where you have an incumbent in Jackson Dart and now a fifth-year senior in Spencer Sanders, who most certainly is not going there to sit. And I will remind you that yesterday on this show, we talked about this. One other thing that I want to put on your radar. I don't think Ole Miss is done yet at quarterback. And this is where, I think for a lot of LSU fans, it's going to get a little hairy if Spencer Sanders ends up signing with Ole Miss. So we went a little deeper, but I'd been told that by everyone over the weekend, as I was digging into the Walker Howard stuff, was that they were also going to take a commitment from Spencer Sanders. And that's something that I believe the Howards knew, that Walker knew that Spencer Sanders was going there as well. And the other thing I mentioned is and I believe Neil McCready, who was with us yesterday here on the show, mentioned this as well, that the feeling around Ole Miss is that Jackson Dart is likely going to transfer out. Now, this makes a very complicated situation, right? And I don't mean to go too deep dive into the goings-on at Ole Miss, because quite honestly, I don't think many people here care, aside from to whatever extent it affects LSU, like when you're going to play Ole Miss or who's going to be there. But like no more than you would care who's going to transfer in at quarterback, like Graham Mertz going to Florida or whatever the case may be. But because you saw a young, talented LSU quarterback leave, presumably for a better opportunity to play, and walks into a now crowded quarterback situation, a lot of people are going, why? Well, it's why I tried to talk about it yesterday, to be ahead of it so this isn't perceived as crawfishing after the move is made. Because I was told that this weekend, that they were expecting Spencer Sanders, and I think he had already committed. He just made it official today. And they'll go through spring because the portal window is now closed. So Jackson Dart, even if he wanted to leave, couldn't leave now because the portal window is now closed. He could do so after spring should he choose to. But that gets a little more complicated still because, remember, Jackson Dart transferred from USC after 1 year to Ole Miss. So he's already used his one-time transfer to be immediately eligible. So if he leaves Ole Miss and wants to be eligible in 2023 at a new school, he would have to get a waiver from the NCAA. That waiver process is something that the NCAA and the coaches committee have been very out front on this offseason and saying they're making it stricter. For a while, it felt almost just like it was a blanket waiver. If you applied for the waiver, you got it. Well, they're making that much stricter now, which you would assume means it's going to be much more difficult for Spencer Sanders to be eligible somewhere else. Jackson Dart to be eligible somewhere else if, in fact, he does leave Ole Miss. He could stay and compete, and if that does happen, if Jackson Dart does stay and compete at Ole Miss, along with Spencer Sanders and Walker Howard, then I think you'd be right as an LSU fan to look and go, man, Walker Howard made a huge mistake. I mean, he left LSU in a situation where he was part of a three-man quarterback battle and was running third and walked into the same thing. Now, what I can guarantee you is going to happen is in spring, Walker Howard will get reps with the offense, which he was not going to get at LSU. He was not going to get that at LSU. He was going to be running scout team like he had been doing. So, to that end, it's a better situation. But if you're looking for path to the field, there's a couple of things. Number one, it does essentially validate exactly what we talked about, that Walker wasn't leaving LSU because of for an opportunity to just walk right in and play, but an opportunity to compete, which he wasn't going to have at LSU. We'll see how much of an opportunity he has at Ole Miss. I will be very interested to follow that. Now, maybe Walker believes he's the best of those three and can win the job anyway, and maybe he'll have an opportunity to do it. But he went to a place where he knew Spencer Sanders was going to be transferring in as well, which tells you he's willing to sit if that's the case, but he wants an opportunity. And I'm going to say again today what I said yesterday, and I'll continue to believe unless if something comes up that suggests the contrary. And that's that I believe LSU's coaches never thought Walker Howard was going to leave. They took that gamble. And when Brian Kelly, after the bowl game, talked about going into the spring with Jaden and with Nuss and then battling, and he talked about the both of them and then said, and also Walker Howard, like it was an afterthought, I think that planted the seed here to let him know how far back he was and that he was essentially going to spend another year in quarterback purgatory, not getting reps. So that's why he left. Now, will he get those at Ole Miss? Because if Jackson Dart sticks around and Walker Howard's running three, then he made a massive mistake. Like if we get to next fall and Jackson Dart is still part of the Ole Miss football team, then Walker Howard, I think it's fair to say, made a massive mistake. Maybe not even in leaving LSU, but in picking Ole Miss. Because if he left the place where he had great friends, a coach that he loved and respected, a school that he always dreamed of playing for, his dream school, great friends he's great friends with Will Campbell and so many of these guys. And if he left this spot for what he thought was a better opportunity and he ends up in the exact same situation, then you could, in hindsight, look back and say he made a mistake. But only time will tell. And my understanding of that whole situation is they knew when Walker was committing, they knew Spencer Sanders was coming in. And ultimately, the feeling is that Jackson Dart's going to transfer out. But if Dart stays, that's going to be the really, really complicated piece that could arise next year. So, Ole Miss had a heck of a portal season. I mean, they went from Jackson Dart, Luke Altmaier to Spencer Sanders, Jackson Dart, Walker Howard. Undeniably, they fortified that quarterback room. Now, what does that mean for them? What does it mean for their opportunity to compete or win a championship? Maybe not much. Maybe nothing at all. But, I mean, they're still Ole Miss. So, but they're more interesting. That's for sure. All right, it's after further review. You can always email us, Matt at 1045ESPN.com. You can tweet the show at Matt Moscona or at 1045ESPN.
Hey, Twitter world.
You can jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat on the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel, or you can always text in the 225 at 396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. I'm certain we'll have plenty of reaction today to the Spencer Sanders news. And, of course, where we led the show today with the Saints retaining Pete Carmichael but firing running game coordinator Dan Roushar. That'll show him. Okay, let's knock out a quick break. We'll come back, give you a thought on LSU basketball's loss last night at home against Auburn. No great surprise. Another day, rinse and repeat, same old story. And we'll go around the SEC. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. One of the really cool things that Gordon has done is meeting and sitting down with a lot of their NIL athletes. You saw the one-on-one that he did with Mason Smith. There's a great one coming with Gordon and Trey Morgan. So be on the lookout for that on social media. So make sure you're following Gordon on all the social media accounts. And remember, the Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, the dance challenge is going on right now. You could win $2,500. You can win $2,500 for posting your dance to the Get Gordon jingle. You've heard the jingle. You've heard it right here. So go to any of the Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys social media accounts, and you'll see the post for the rules of how to enter. It's really easy, man. Dance to the Get Gordon jingle and win $2,500, or you have the opportunity to win $2,500. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done. Go to getgordon.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've got that blue sky, I've got that sunshine.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
I think it's tough. I mean, I do. I mean, it's the reality of what we're in. But the only way I know to do it is to keep working. Come to work, the right mindset. You know, there's not one man in that locker room that can fix it. It's going to take everybody, and that's what we'll continue to do. Not easy. Easier said than done. But I think, you know, we always hear this. I think everyone's been told this. You know, the adversity's here. It's here. We're staring at it. Find out what you're made of.
Tigers fall again, 67-49. That's not a misprint. 67-49 at home against Auburn. We were at Oliver Twist last night for Scone and Tea, and of course the game was on, and kind of glanced up at one point there in the final minutes of the first half, and LSU was sitting on 13 points. I think Matt McMahon said it best. I mean, the adversity's here. There's just, you can't avoid it. It's what it is. I mean, your roster is what it is. The team is what it is, and you're just not very good. You know, John Brady was here on Tuesday, and we talked about it. It's compared it a lot to his first year. He inherited a team that was, you know, under sanctions because of the Lester Earl situation, and it took them a couple of years to dig out. He won 2 conference games year 1. He won 4 conference games year 2. And then by year 3, they won 12 league games, won the SEC, and went to the Sweet 16. I mean, it's going to turn around with Matt McMahon. And I'll point out, you know, Scott Woodward hired Brian Kelly. Working out pretty good. Scott Woodward hired Kim Mulkey. Working out pretty good. Scott Woodward hired Jay Johnson. It's working out pretty good. He knows what he's looking for, the characteristics, the makeup of head coaches. And Matt McMahon has all of those. He's a smart guy. He's a really good basketball coach. And he's going to recruit exceptionally well. And they're going to win here. He just inherited an impossible situation. And he tried to throw together a roster as quickly as he could to try to find a way to win as many games this year as he could. And unfortunately, you know, aside from KJ Williams, you just don't have options. And you could try to break it down or X and O it. You just can't score. I mean, you don't have shooters or scorers. So it's going to be a lot of this. I mean, you were going against an Auburn team, and look, you held Auburn to 67. Auburn's average point per game going into last night was right at 72 points. You held them 5 points under their season average. You played a fine defensive ball game, but you're just facing you just can't score. So it ain't fun to go through, man. I get it. And I'm at a loss for words. I can't analyze anything for you. It was nice to see Cam Hayes back. Yes, you're better with him on the floor. You still scored 49 points. Your KJ Williams got a great honor today. He's on the midseason watch list for the Oscar Robertson Trophy. And he's so deserving because he's a fantastic player. I mean, he was the Ohio Valley Player of the Year last year, and we're seeing why. And for him, the question was, would it translate to an SEC league schedule night in and night out? The guy's averaging 18 points and 7 boards a game. He's a pro, and he's going to be a really good one. This team just isn't very good. And then the news came, one of the guys that Matt McMahon brought with him from Murray State was Justice Hill, and Hill has seen his playing time dramatically reduced here at the start of conference play, and now Matt McMahon gave us this news.
In regards to Justice Hill, it's not a disciplinary situation by any means. He will be stepping away or has stepped away from the program for the time being for personal reasons. I don't have a timeline on that. We'll see how it proceeds as we move forward from here.
I mean, I'm not laying LSU's offensive issues at the feet of Justice Hill. Please don't misunderstand me. They got many deep-seated issues, and it made sense bringing him here, right? I mean, he's a guy who understood what Matt McMahon wanted to do, and while KJ Williams has transitioned from the OVC to the SEC beautifully, Justice Hill didn't, and you saw his minutes drop. I mean, when you got to conference play, he had 36 minutes against East Tennessee State, and then they dropped to 19 minutes against Arkansas, 13 minutes in the loss at Kentucky, and you got run against A&M in Florida, so he got some minutes in those where he played 30 minutes in each of those games, but then just 18 minutes against Alabama. I mean, he just his role had sort of vanished. Other guys had taken those minutes from him. Trey Hannibal taking those minutes, and Cam Hayes, when obviously when he's healthy, he's taking those minutes. So, you're just It's just what you are, and what you are is not very good. And that's not going to be fun to go through this year. And thank God baseball is right around the corner because they're going to be really good. But don't give up on Matt McMahon because of this early tough stretch in the beginning of his first season where he inherited a team that had 0 scholarship players 2 weeks into his tenure. They're going to lose Saturday to Tennessee. They're going to lose at Arkansas. Maybe they have a chance at home against Texas Tech. They'll probably lose at Missouri. They're going to lose at home to Bama. They got a shot to go on the road and beat Mississippi State, certainly. But it's a road game, and it's tough to win on the road. You come home against Texas A&M, it's a team that already bludgeoned you. You got to go to Georgia, who's one of the surprise teams in the league this year. I mean, it may be February 18th, home against South Carolina. Like, that's a bad basketball team, and you got a chance to beat them on your home floor. It may be a month before you win a game again. And that sucks, and it's not fun. We lived through this with the last year, Johnny Jones, where they won two league games. So keep the long view when you're considering this LSU basketball program. They're going to be fine. Matt McMahon's going to do a great job. It's just not going to be this year. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank and vinyl siding. It's Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. You know where to find them. They're on Airline Highway in Prairieville. If you're going south on Airline in Prairieville, you pass Highway 42, just about a quarter mile or so. Look to the right. You can't miss it. It's the Relief Windows headquarters. 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Walk-ins are welcome. They always have a representative on site to help you. It's experience, quality, and service at Relief Windows, where you always get a lifetime transferable warranty on labor, material, and glass breakage. It's Relief Windows. Reliefwindows.com. Reliefwindows.com. Okay, let's do it. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Ole Miss Rebels.
Oklahoma State transfer portal quarterback Spencer Sanders has picked the Rebels, as we told you, meaning they got a crowded room now with Jackson Dart and Walker Howard. Sanders has been the starter for 4 years there. He was the Big 12 Player of the Year following the 2021 season. Auburn and TCU were also in the mix for Spencer Sanders, but he is headed to Oxford for his final season.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas has hired Maryland offensive coordinator Dan Enos to the same position. Enos previously served as the Arkansas play caller from 2015 to 2017. Enos replaces Kendall Briles, who left this week to become the offensive coordinator at TCU. He, after serving on Sam Pittman's staff the last 3 years, Razorbacks averaged 32 points a game a year ago, so Dan Enos has pretty big shoes to fill. Arkansas has lost 5 assistant coaches, including both coordinators this offseason.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee basketball is getting Santiago Vescovi and Tyreek Key back in time for the LSU game on Saturday. The duo missed Thursday's game at Mississippi State, which Tennessee won. Tuesday's game, which Tennessee won 70-59 without the senior guards. Vescovi with a shoulder injury. Key had an illness. Again, both are expected to play at LSU on Saturday. Vescovi is the team's leading scorer. Key is a transfer from Indiana State, averaging 9 points per game. Let's run through the scores from across the conference. Last night, of course, we told you that LSU fell to Auburn 67-49 at the Maravich Center. 2 other games in the league last night. Missouri beats Arkansas as the Hogs continue to struggle. They fall to 1-5 in the league. Missouri upends Arkansas 79-76 there in Como. And how about it down at Reed Arena? Texas A&M, maybe the biggest surprise in the league so far, at 5-0 in conference play. They nipped Florida 54-52. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. You know where to find them at gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. Gulf Coast Office Products, they are the official office equipment provider of the LSU Tigers, the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the ULL Raging Cajuns. If you need office equipment, you need Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, it's after further review. Quick break. Wrap up hour number 1 next.
AFR.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. She resigned under a huge cloud of controversy. Multiple children dead on her watch. Tonight, the WBRZ investigative unit is looking into a large party held to celebrate her during work hours. It comes after another child died under the watch of DCFS. Employees telling the investigative unit the party was tone deaf. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Bayou Ford has $4,000 off MSRP plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on new 22 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. That's $5,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
A former Saints GM, Randy Mueller, in 12 minutes from right now. We'll talk about the Sean Payton negotiations, how all that may go down. Also, we talked about this offseason. If you missed it, Saints are retaining Pete Carmichael Jr., Mike Triplett, the first to report that. Or maybe it was Jeff Duncan or Mike Triplett. I know they both had it today, but I'd like to give attribution where I can. I'm certainly not optimistic. I think many of you probably fall in the same boat. But we'll talk about that with Randy Mueller coming up. Something that I had on the rundown for 30 minutes from right now is grading LSU in the transfer portal. Actually, Muse put that up as today's Citizens Bank and Trust poll question of the day. So you can go to Twitter at 1045ESPN and vote. How would you grade LSU and their transfer portal season? But a little breaking news here. LSU not done in the transfer portal. Yes, the portal window is closed for players to enter the portal, but as we've said often, players can choose their new school at any point. And LSU has gotten a commitment from linebacker Omar Spates out of Oregon State. So he was a first-team all Pac-12 linebacker. Our buddy Jacques Doucet had the news first. And I'm going to go a little deeper into this here in about 25 minutes. Because when I look at the portal, I look at, okay, did you address your needs with starting caliber players, right? And I think they did that on the defensive line. Certainly did that at cornerback. The spot where they took a hit with their numbers and hadn't really supplemented yet was at linebacker, inside linebacker. They've addressed the jack position. They got edge guys. They got Braden Swinson. Of course, we know that. Ovi Agofu. It'll roll off my tongue eventually, but Ovi Agofu from Texas. You addressed the jack spot, the edge spot. You didn't address inside linebacker, right? Where Baskerville is going pro. Mike Jones is gone. Colby Fields transferred out. And then DeMario Tolan left for Auburn. So you need inside linebackers. And boy, did you get one here. A guy that's played a ton of football during his time at Oregon State. Just a quick check of the bio. You're talking about a guy that played in 12 games as a freshman back in 2019. 7 games during the COVID season. All 13 games in 2021, and then 13 games this past year with 83 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and he was named first team all Pac-12. So a starting inside linebacker was a team captain. I mean, this is the kind of makeup of a player that Brian Kelly wants. So whether he steps in day one and steals a starting job, I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, you've got Greg Penn there. You got Harold Perkins who's going to play on the inside. But especially in losing DeMario Tolan, you need depth and experience at inside backer to have some type of rotation, and he provides it. So Oregon State linebacker Omar Spates commits to LSU. He'll be here for the spring semester. He'll go through spring ball, and because of the COVID year, he still has 2 years of eligibility remaining. Again, we'll talk LSU transfer portal coming up here in about 20 minutes from right now, sort of grading the portal from the LSU perspective. All right, we're brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. If it's roof repairs, roof replacements, if it's residential or commercial, we'd love to give you that free, no-obligation roofing inspection there at Hudco Roofing. Go to HudcoRoofing.com. That's HudcoRoofing.com. You can get your inspection right there on the homepage. You'll see the inspection form. It'll take you 30 seconds to fill it out, and our crews will be in touch. It's Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. No matter if you're in Baton Rouge, Bossier, New Orleans, or Lafayette, go to the website. You'll see the phone number for any of the offices around the state, wherever you are. We'd love to help you out, no matter how big or small the job, from the smallest leak to the biggest commercial roof replacement. We'd love the opportunity to bid on those commercial jobs. Just contact us today at HudcoRoofing.com, a Louisiana company run by Louisiana people using Louisiana products that was here, it's been here for decades, and will be here long after the next storm. It's Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. It was a disappointing night on the hardwood, man. My goodness. The Tigers took one on the chin, and the Pels really didn't show up offensively either last night. Here was Willie Green after the loss at the Blender last night.
Give Miami a ton of credit. They played an excellent overall game. They came in and kicked our butts on our home floor. All of that starts with me. I have to have our team prepared to play, and that's what I told our guys. We wasn't. We were not ready to play tonight. And I get it, long road trip, first game home, all of that stuff, but we can't use that as an excuse.
All that does matter, though. A 5-game road swing, you were on the road, you finally get home, and maybe the most disappointing part is New Orleans has been such a good home team this year. They've been fantastic in that building. But last night from jump, I mean, T-Bob and I were doing Scone and Tea last night at Oliver Twist, and had the game up on my tablet. So we're kind of sitting there doing the show and watching along. And just from the onset, Miami jumped out offensively, and the Pels didn't respond. 124-98 was the final at the Smoothie King Center last night. Now you go on the road to take on Orlando, and then you're back against Miami on the road on Sunday. And here was Willie Green about that quick turnaround, take on the Heat again in such a short window.
They definitely have presented some matchup problems for us, and like I said, we'll come back in tomorrow. We'll watch film and we'll see where we can be better. And we got a game before that, so our focus will shift to Orlando, and then we'll have a chance to get back after them on their home floor.
We're really hoping for some kind of news on Brandon Ingram. Many of you probably saw the video floating around social media on Wednesday with B.I. taking his shots from the corner there at the indoor facility. So as Graf told us, B.I.'s going to have to do some 5-on-5 work before he gets in the game. That hasn't happened as of yet, but hopefully they're getting closer. You got to B.I. and Zion are your two best players. We know that. This isn't breaking news. You're better with your two best players, obviously, and they need to get him back, and hopefully it's sooner than later. Okay, it's after further review. SportsCenter is coming up. We'll get you caught up on national headlines when we come back. Former Saints GM Randy Mueller is going to join us. We'll talk a little about the Sean Payton contract. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Put a button here on hour number 1. I love telling you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Online at Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Last year celebrated 75 years in business, and in so doing, part of Michelli's big push in ensuring that they last another 75 years or 175 years is their expansion of their precision measurement device calibration labs. So at 6 different spots, they expanded those labs from Baton Rouge and New Orleans to points in Mobile and all different areas. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Of course, ISO 17025 accreditation is available. And something I mention often is their track system. That gives you 24/7, 365 access, and it's a completely free service, completely free. And it gives you 24/7, 365 access to all of your calibration certificates and all of your accreditation certificates. So it makes you more efficient. You can quickly get back to work. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $8,500 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. New 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $8,500 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Have you ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. and we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Byron Leftwich has been fired after four years as the Buccaneers offensive coordinator. The move, part of an overhaul by head coach Todd Bowles, which also included 8 other coaches leaving the staff. Bucs had a big drop-off in 2022, averaged a little more than 18 points a game. They also had the NFL's worst rushing attack. The firing of Leftwich, though, a little curious for Canty and Carlin co-host Chris Canty.
So they fired the Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator, and they pin this underwhelming season on him, but they keep the Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator in Todd Bowles when he's proven that he can't do the job. I mean, he's literally shown us in a 5-season sample size, including his tenure with the Jets, that he's not a good NFL head coach.
Chris Canty on Greeny. Amid declining results and mounting criticism, Greg Roman stepped down as Ravens offensive coordinator. Coach John Harbaugh said Lamar Jackson, a pending free agent, is their quarterback, and he will be involved in the team's search for a new OC. NBA Celtics go for an 8th consecutive win when they welcome the Warriors tonight. Coverage at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
The new Venture X card from Capital One. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel, plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Stephen A. Smith, 1 hour from right now. Paul Nolan will preview the divisional round of the playoffs with us at the bottom of this hour. The gigantic story this offseason around the New Orleans Saints, of course, is what is going to happen with former Saints coach Sean Payton. Love the insight of former Saints GM Randy Mueller, who spent essentially his entire adult professional life in front offices around football and currently is the director of player personnel with the Seattle Sea Dragons of the XFL. Does podcast for The Athletic as well, and Randy's good enough to join us here. Randy, we always appreciate a few minutes, man. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to be back with you.
Thanks, Randy. We appreciate it, man. If I ask you outside looking in, as you've watched the Sean Payton sweepstakes unfold here over these last several weeks, do you have any overarching observations of how this has all played out?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to view it with an open mind. We heard Sean's version of the lay of the land the other day on TV, and I'm not sure that coincides with Mickey Loomis's version, but I understand Sean wants to get his narrative out there, so I get it. I think at the end of the day, obviously Mickey has to do what's right for the Saints, and so that may not be exactly what Sean wants, and I don't think Mickey can be swayed by that, by any public sentiment of any kind, or any desire of Sean. His loyalty is to the Saints, so he's got to get the best deal he can. And I think that would lead us to Sean probably going outside the division for sure. So I'm not sure what all the Carolina stuff is really to be. I just don't see that happening. So there's a couple different things. Obviously, Sean has made it clear of his stance and where he thinks things are. We'll see if time will tell if that's actually the truth.
So I think it's a pretty fascinating point you brought up, because I've been wondering this. Whose decision ultimately is it, Randy? Does Sean Payton pick a team and then Mickey Loomis negotiates? Or does the team negotiate a deal with the Saints and ultimately Loomis gets to pick where Payton goes?
Well, I'm not sure how it's going to go down, but I do know this. Mickey has a lot of respect for Sean. I know that he thinks that Sean deserves to go kind of where he wants to go. But Mickey's got to be careful in that he's the keeper of the Saints. So my question is, I know we've seen all these teams reach out to get permission to talk to him. I think the price is going to be different depending on who the team is. So I guess it comes back at some point to a team saying, hey, we want to hire Sean. He wants to be with us. Now let's try to figure out a way to make it happen. And maybe at that point, Mickey can give a little wink to Sean on the side and say, hey, you're going to get there. But if I'm Sean Payton and I pick a place that I'm deciding to go and they want me, I don't want the asking price to be a whole bunch because that team is using up tools to better our team.
Right.
So he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard spot. His ego might say, hey, I'm worth 2 first-round picks, when at the end of the day, I don't want him to give anything for me. So that's why I think Mickey's got to decide what he wants.
So there's two different questions about compensation. One is the compensation for Sean Payton. We've seen the reports out there. The Miami report a year ago was that they were willing to pay $100 million over 4 or 5 years, which would put the tag at $20 to $25 million per for Sean Payton. We know head coaching salaries don't have to be made public. Randy, is that even realistic?
It would be the highest I've ever heard of, I'll be honest with you. I don't think that is a real possibility. I think Sean or his team would love to have that out there for sure. I think that's going to scare away 90% of the teams. And I've said from day one, when all of this came up, there's 3 things, right? There's compensation to the Saints, there's compensation to Sean, and then there's a front office structure that Sean is comfortable with. That eliminates, I'm telling you, about 28 of the teams because teams aren't going to do that. So maybe they have a new owner in Denver that's willing to acquiesce to all those demands, but most of the owners in the NFL will not be willing to do that.
What about Randy Mueller is our guest. He's on Twitter at Randy Mueller _. Y'all give him a follow. What about the Saints compensation, Randy? If you were on that side of the table, what does that look like?
Well, I think whatever you're willing to settle with, you've got to ask for more than that because there will be some negotiations. And I've heard Sean's version is that it's a mid to late round first, and that may be what it is. If it is, I'm asking for a lot more than that, and we're going to settle on something in between. So I don't know what Mickey's going to do. Obviously, he's a good friend of mine, but we have not talked about any of these details. My guess is he'll ask for at least a first and then some other compensation as well. But again, it depends on where that first-round pick is and from within what other chips that team has to put on the table. For example, I don't think he will ever negotiate with Carolina. To me, that's suicide. You're putting them in the same division. That makes no sense. I don't care what they're willing to pay. So maybe they use that as a bargaining chip, they as in the Saints, to get more from somebody else. I don't know.
What if Carolina is willing to give you what you want and give you that first-round draft pick? Maybe it's next year's first-round draft pick.
Well, I think he'll do better than that somewhere else. Again, I would anticipate the Saints stretching out the compensation that they'll get for Sean Payton. I think it's a true value. I noticed that Sean mentioned this in his interview the other day, that if it's next year, it's going to change. I took that as a shot over the bow to the Saints. In other words, maybe it'll be less next year. I don't see that being a threat to the Saints having to acquiesce to taking a lesser deal just because it's going to be a lot less 2 years from now. I don't see that being the case.
Randy, is Sean Payton worth it as a GM? Do you think he's worth it?
Well, I like Sean. I know a lot about him, obviously, because my people are all still in and around the States. I would not do that, and I don't think a lot of owners would either. I just think it is great to have a coach. I want him to coach. I don't want another general manager. I don't want anybody pulling strings behind the scenes, but that's my personal opinion. I do know that Sean says he's willing to work with whoever. I just know the personality, and I don't know how that's going to go. He had an ideal situation in New Orleans because, as we know, Mickey came up in the salary cap side, so he gives Sean a lot of rope on the football side. These other places that we're talking about have GMs who are football people. George Payton in Denver, Scott Fitterer in Charlotte. These guys have legitimate football careers and resumes in building teams. So I don't know how much input Sean's going to necessarily acquire when he takes one of these gigs. So it's going to be one where he's going to have shared authority, in my opinion, and be a partner. And that kind of makes me nervous, to be honest with you.
Do you have a guess, a a feel on how this all ultimately resolves itself and where Sean Payton ends up next year, assuming that he is coaching next year?
If I was a betting man, and I don't have any inside knowledge, let me just say that.
Sure.
I think the Denver situation might make the most sense. George Payton, I know he worked for me in Miami, a good man and willing to set aside his own ego. I think he would move to the side and allow Sean to have bells and whistles and authority and all that. Plus, you've got a new ownership group that really wants to make a splash and have a positive effect on what was a miserable, bad season. The other thing is, and you probably remember this, when Russell Wilson was leaving Seattle, he made a list of 4 or 5 teams he was willing to be traded to. The Saints were on that list. And they were on that list for a reason. It's because Sean Payton was the head coach. So there has to be some connection there at some point. At least there's admiration and respect. So I don't think that the fact that Russell Wilson was so bad this year eliminates everybody from wanting to take that job.
We remember it well. Talked about it a lot here, that Russell Wilson situation. Hey, Randy, one more before you go. If I could ask you a question about the Saints, and I mean, obviously you're not inside the organization any longer, but they seem to be taking an approach that is contrary to what many teams in the NFL do today, which is they're being patient. They're retaining Dennis Allen. They're apparently retaining Pete Carmichael as well. Do you think, outside looking in, that the Saints need more of a shakeup than what apparently is coming this offseason?
I don't know about that. I think they've had a lot of success. They think they have a really good track record. Knowing Mickey as well as I do, I mean, he's a brother of mine forever. I know he's going to be patient. I know it's going to be process-oriented, all their decisions. And I don't think they're going to be swayed by one mediocre year or less than mediocre year, depending on how you look at it. I just know the way they operate. So it doesn't surprise me that they've made very few changes. At some point, maybe you see different eyes come in the front office because it's been the same plan forever. And sometimes I always used to like to have an independent set of eyes evaluate my teams, even when I was the GM, to keep me honest. Maybe that happens. I have no clue. But I know this, they're not going to make knee-jerk reactions based on what fans might think in the short term.
He is Randy Mueller. It is always insightful when you get a chance to talk to a guy that's been an NFL general manager and has 40 years experience in pro football. I didn't mean to sell you short a decade there, Randy. Make sure
I've earned this gray hair, I'll tell you that.
He's on. Well, I have no hair, so at least you're doing better than me. He's on Twitter at @RandyMueller_. Y'all give him a follow. Randy, we always appreciate a couple of minutes, man. Thank you so much.
You bet. Take care.
All right, it's our pleasure. That's Randy Mueller. How about that? So he thinks Denver, lean again. No, and fair to mention that he has no insight there, and I'm not making breaking news or anything like that. Just his opinion, like we all can have an opinion. And Denver makes the most sense, especially with that late first-round pick. The thing that I thought was most interesting there was him saying there's no way that he would negotiate with Carolina at all. If you're Mickey Loomis. And that does, in many respects, suggest that Mickey has more of the leverage here than Sean. It's not like Sean. That's what I've wondered. Does Sean pick his spot and then says, okay, now go do a deal with the Saints? Or is it really what deal can get done between Mickey Loomis and whoever the GM is that's trying to hire the Saints? The other thing I hadn't considered is, and he's right, of course he's right, but if you're Sean Payton, you don't want the team to give up a lot for you because that's the team you're going to, and then you're inheriting a team now with fewer assets because of what it took to acquire you. So that is what an interesting web that is being woven here with the Sean Payton situation. I mean, we've all said it, right? I mean, he had a great situation in New Orleans. Wanted to step away, needed that recharge, got it, but what situation will he find wherever is next? And you're really just you are a product of the market. You don't get to pick one of 32. You get to pick one of whichever small number of teams looking for a coach wants you that fits the criteria you're looking for. So maybe not the most ideal situation. Denver would be fine with me. Get him out of the NFC, go far, far away, go win somewhere else. And yes, we would love all of those assets. Thank you. Okay, it's after further review. Quick break. We'll come back. I want to grade LSU's portal season. By the way, if you missed it, told you in the last hour that LSU has added another linebacker, a first-team all Pac-12 linebacker out of Oregon State. Omar Spates is officially an LSU Tiger. We'll get to some portal grades when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR,
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, and a great time to get by Clegg's because winter, and I get it was like 80 degrees yesterday, but we're getting down into the 30s as we get closer to the weekend. But winter is the time to plant trees and shrubs, shade trees, fruit trees, not citrus trees, but other fruit trees like pear trees. It's a great time to plant those trees right now at Clegg's. Got magnolia trees and bushes as well right now at Clegg's Nursery, and shipments arriving every single week, so you get a replenished inventory. So even if you were at Clegg's a week ago or so, get on back. And remember, at Clegg's, they're partnered with True Value Hardware Store, so anything you'd find at True Value Hardware Store, you'll also find at Clegg's. So if you're a green thumb or you're checking off that honeydew list, they're the best. They're a local company that's run by local people. They've been around for 60 years. They've got Johnny Naylor seeds. It's Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations. Buy local, shop local, and be sure to tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infinity QX80.
Experience the Infinity QX80 at your local Infinity retailer.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, Paul Nolan's going to be with us here a little more than 10 minutes from right now. We'll preview divisional round, in the NFL playoff coming up this weekend. And Stephen A. Smith in 40 minutes. Stephen A. to start hour number 3. We're looking forward to that. So I stumbled across a piece earlier today at ESPN.com, and it was grading the transfer portal season for all of the way too early top 25 for next college football season. So naturally, I scroll down to LSU, who they have 8th in the way too early top 25 for next season, which I think is appropriate. We've talked about that a lot. think LSU and Florida State are going to meet next year in Orlando as a preseason top 10 team. And, for LSU and whatever their opportunities are going to be, to be a national title contender next year, they are, again, LSU's got the 5th best odds. It's early, and rosters are going to change between now and the start of next season, but LSU's got the 5th best odds to win the national championship next year. So they are a preseason contender. So you have to have these types of conversations. So LSU 8th in the way too early top 25. They rank LSU's biggest departure as Walker Howard. The biggest newcomer, they mention Aaron Anderson and J.K. Johnson. I'm going to touch on that because I'm not so sure that I agree. Remaining holes, they mention the defensive line as the remaining holes. And Tom Van Haren gave LSU a B+. Essentially said it would have been higher, but losing Walker Howard knocks you down a peg. But still a B+, which I think is very solid, probably a fair grade. But I'm not so sure I agree with any of the assessments there. If you look at LSU's transfer portal class, Tigers had 17 players leave LSU and 11 players come in. And I think the way that I would think of it is, or the way that I would grade it, and you can put a grade, a letter grade, however you want, but I would say, did you address your needs with starting caliber players? Not project players, starting caliber players. Because that's the purpose of the portal, isn't it? The fact that if you're LSU a year ago and you lose Elias Ricks and Dwight McGlothern to the portal and Cordell Flott goes pro and you have no cornerbacks, no worries. Go get Jarek Bernard-Converse, a 4-year starter at Oklahoma State who was all Big 12, right? Like, that's the point of the portal. Go get a starting caliber player. You need offensive linemen? Cool. Miles Frazier, freshman All-American. Tremont Shorts, FCS All-American. Boom. Now, it's not to say every player is going to pan out, but you're supplementing your roster with starting caliber players. That's the point of the portal right now. So I looked at LSU and looked at the roster and said, okay, well, where did you need help? Well, you certainly needed a deep threat wide receiver. We knew that, a deep threat wide receiver and a guy that could help you in special teams in the return game. Boom. First guy they added was Aaron Anderson. That was a no-brainer, a guy that's a former 5-star. Brian Kelly's talked about wanting guys from Louisiana. He was a one-time LSU commit. When Roushar got fired, he decommitted, ended up signing with Bama. That's a home run. Now, we'll see if it pans out on the field, but as far as checking the boxes of what you were looking for, Aaron Anderson's a no-doubter. Cornerback was the other massive spot, I think, that they needed help because you got a whole bunch of one-year guys last year. Mekhi Gardner, Jarek Bernard-Converse, Colby Richardson, dudes, one-and-done dudes, okay? So you had to remake your cornerback room again, especially after losing Demarius McGee and Raydarius Jones. So you had to remake it again, and you did so with elite talent, all with more than a year of eligibility. The fact that you went out and you got Denver Harris, who was a 5-star. You got Deuce Chestnut, who was all ACC at Syracuse. You add J.K. Johnson, who's a starter at Ohio State. That's not even counting Zy Alexander, who was an FCS All-American. Again, guy from Louisiana, 6'3", long corner, exactly what you're looking for in a cornerback. So check the box there. You needed, maybe the biggest portal need was you had to address defensive line. We all know that we talked about it all year. They basically had a 3-man rotation on the interior. It was Mekhi Wingo, Jaquelin Roy, Jacobian Guillory. That was basically it. They got creative. Sometimes they moved Ali Gay inside, but you basically had 3 true defensive tackles as part of your rotation. You had to go get bodies. Jordan Jefferson from West Virginia, starting caliber player. Parrish Shand from Arizona, 3-year player there. Jalen Lee, Louisiana guy from Florida. Again, a 330-pound dude who's going to be a big run stuffer in the middle. So, again, you addressed what you needed on the interior. We talked about Jack linebacker. B.J. Ojulari goes pro. You're expecting Harold Perkins to be an inside backer. Desmond Little leaves in the transfer portal as well. You need Jack linebackers. Xavier Carter transfers out. You need Jack linebackers. You need edge players. Well, they go get Braden Swinson, a 3-year player at Oregon, and then Ovi Agofu, who's going to be a 6th-year guy who Brian Kelly had at Notre Dame, super productive, was the Big 12 Newcomer of the Year a season ago. So emphatic, check, check, check. They're checking all the boxes. The one spot where I would say when you lose DeMario Tolan, you lose Colby Fields, you lose Micah Baskerville, when you lost all of these inside linebackers, Mike Jones goes pro, you were super thin at linebacker. You had, I would have said, and I was prepping this, like actually today when I was prepping, I put two needs. One was inside linebacker and the other is on the offensive line, because now we know you've lost 5 offensive linemen. You're going to need to supplement there, and they'll have an opportunity to do that later. But linebacker, they addressed, and we got that news today. Omar Spates, who was, I mean, not only a starter, but an all Pac-12 inside linebacker at Oregon State, has transferred to LSU and is going to be going through spring and is on campus now at LSU. 6'1", 227, played 4 years at Oregon State. The COVID year obviously doesn't count for him, so he's got 2 more years remaining at LSU if he wants to play. As a recruit, he was, he's from the state of Oregon. He was the number 72 inside linebacker in the country. So a 3-star player who went to Oregon and became a 4-year player and a 2-year starter, a team captain, and a year ago had a very productive season when he became all Big 12. All Pac-12. So you're talking about a team captain, all Pac-12, inside linebacker, even if he doesn't become a starter. If your starters are Greg Penn, Harold Perkins, if the third guy, the rotational guy who a year ago we thought would have been DeMario Tolan, or a month ago we thought that would have been DeMario Tolan, well now instead of a second-year player in DeMario Tolan, it's a 5th-year guy who's got major FBS experience, who's been a starter in all conference. Like, check, right? You've checked that box now at linebacker. You could probably use another body, but you've certainly checked that box. And I would tell you the only thing they have remaining that they have to address would be on the offensive line, which is something we discussed, right? With 4 guys entering the portal on the, 5 players entering the portal on the offensive line, and with 1 player going pro, and Anthony Bradford declaring for the draft, you've got 6 guys that you like on the offensive line that can play, that have played, and then everybody after that has no experience. And I get it. You got to get experience at some point, but you're going to need another couple of bodies that have played at this level before, and I think that's something they'll try to address in the next portal window. But keep an eye on offensive line. I would say that's the only spot. That's the only spot on this roster where I go, man, you're an injury away from being in a sticky spot. Everywhere else, they've got depth, they've got talent, they've got starting caliber players, they've got experience. LSU is a legit contender in 2023. On paper, they got to go play it out, and you're going to have to play an SEC schedule and all that stuff. But, I'll point out again, someone asked me today, do you think LSU, a 10-win season next year, is realistic? Well, just play it out this year. You replace Tennessee as your rotating cross-divisional. You replace Tennessee with Missouri. That's an inherently winnable game going up to Como. Yes, you have to go to Alabama, but the game you lost at Texas A&M, now you get in Baton Rouge where you're going to be favored. Those 2 games right there where you lost Tennessee and Texas A&M, I think those 2 games flip in your favor. Now maybe Bama flips in their favor since you have to go to Tuscaloosa, but I also believe LSU will likely be favored against Florida State. So I think you could be just there on paper alone, you're 2 games better than you were a year ago. Even if you lose at Bama, but you beat, you win the A&M game at home, you're able to beat Florida State, you beat Mizzou where you lost to Tennessee. That's a net plus of 2 games. That's 11 wins. You're in the mix. You are in the mix next year on paper. Now they got to go deliver and execute and grow and develop all that stuff, but boy, there's a lot of reasons to be very optimistic about this LSU team. And the portal season they just had is a big reason. Brian Kelly and his staff have clearly shown they are adept at roster evaluation and maintaining this roster and knowing where their needs are and addressing them. I think they had a very, very successful portal season, which is going to make this team even more hyped going into this offseason and then into 2023. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. A divisional round in the NFL playoffs is this weekend. Our buddy Paul Nolan from freewinners.net jumps aboard with us next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. I tell you all the time to read the reviews. They got more than double the amount of 5-star reviews of the next closest competitor. It's one of the reasons I always encourage you to go see what people are saying. John Saris gave a 5-star review, said extremely professional, courteous, and knowledgeable. Everything was explained before and after the repair and maintenance. Thank you, River Cities, for a great experience. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. Y'all, it's going to be 30 this weekend. It was 80 yesterday. If you're jockeying back and forth from your heater to your AC and you have an issue with either, no worries. Call River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001. Mention the Moscona special. They'll always save you $25 off your system repair just for mentioning the show. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
Corval Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corval Toyota family to yours.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, Thursday at 4:30 Central Time. Time to be joined by our buddy Paul Nolan from freewinners.net. Paul, a week ago, gave us Baltimore as his free play. That did, in fact, hit with the Ravens, who darn near pulled the outright upset if Tyler Huntley doesn't reach the ball over the goal line, resulting in a 98-yard scoop and score by Sam Hubbard. Who knows? Paul, we appreciate it as always. How are you?
I'm excellent, my friend. How you guys doing?
Been doing fantastic. You got to love this time of year, man. NFL playoffs, the games are so good. It's just so much fun to have this type of anticipation looking forward. Divisional round, we got 4 games. Let's just take them one at a time, kind of get a thumbnail and get some thoughts here. How about Jacksonville with the comeback, Paul? Like, what do you do for an encore? Well, congrats. You get to go take on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs there at Arrowhead. Is this a game where you think Jacksonville has a shot to go on the road, maybe make this thing a game?
Yeah, why not? Look, you saw the way they kept it together, after the first 4 interceptions. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You have 4 interceptions, and if you saw the way the Chargers were coming downhill and just attacking every one of those underneath routes. And the fact that the adjustments didn't come sooner was pretty surprising to me. But what it still says to me is that Peterson and his staff did a good job making adjustments. And more importantly, they kept the team believing. They kept them cool. And he said it at the halftime interview. We just got to grind away. Just got to keep grinding away. And you think about how that half kind of like the second quarter, Agnew takes that kickoff to the 50, sparks the Jags, right? And then Samuel gets the 4th pick at the 30. And you're thinking, that's it. It's got to be over here. And the Jags get a stop, and right, LA punts, and the Jags muff it, at the 8. And then they get another field goal, go up 27-0. Now you're thinking, it's got to be it. It's got to be over at this point. But then they make Lawrence, hits Marvin Jones on 4th and 1 to the 25, and boom, they get the touchdown. And all of a sudden, there's a little momentum. I've talked about it for years. That last score before the half, the 4 minutes, before the half, the 4 minutes after the halftime, so much changes in that time. So it was pretty impressive to me to see him Lawrence ends up with 288 yards and 4 touchdown passes. It's a testament to the coaching staff and the growth of this young player that let's be honest, we need some new stars in this league, and this could be the dawning of one.
Certainly the case. You could say the same about Joe Burrow, that Justin Herbert, that the future of the league at the quarterback position seems in really good hands. One of the other interesting ones, Paul, is old Danny Dimes there in your neck of the woods up in New York. I mean, what a difference a coach makes there with Brian Daboll. One of the interesting storylines every year in the playoffs, and especially since the divisional round expanded, or the divisions expanded back in realignment in 2002, is when a team has to play a divisional opponent for the 3rd time. And the underdogs, Paul, have an incredible record in these games. So here's the Giants now getting 7.5, going on the road to Philly. Jalen Hurts is, who knows how healthy he is. Am I crazy for really liking New York in this spot?
Well, you know what? I think the market's kind of overreacting a little bit to the Giants, considering the fact they did it, against really a Minnesota team that had absolutely no answers for any crossing schemes across the board. That secondary, I think 5 different quarterbacks had their own personal best QBR, of their careers this year against that secondary. That secondary has been bad. So I and I also think that, if the Eagles didn't come limping in, I feel as though that, we'd probably be seeing a much bigger number here, to be honest with you. When you look at strength on strength and the matchups, look, this Giant offensive line, not great. Who gets more pressure and more sacks? Nobody. This Eagle team is relentless up front. Evan Neal, obviously the rookie looks exhausted. Yeah. He looks overwhelmed. I think he's going to be fine down the road, but he looks like it's too much of a grind for him to play that whole season. He looks like, I got a feeling he's going to get his butt whooped. And I think A.J. Brown is also a different matchup in its own right versus the way the Giants did a great job bracketing Justin Jefferson in that game last week. I mean, they did a phenomenal job. I mean, and the secondary looked better. On Adoree Jackson, he's a great player when he's healthy, and he looked healthy. And, Xavier McKinney wears the green dot. He came in, looked better. But this is a completely different animal right now, in my opinion, just because, the dual threat with Jalen Hurts being able to run, I think it's going to free safeties a little bit. So you're not crazy, because 7.5 is a nice number to get. That hook feels good, especially, like as you said, against division rivals who hate each other. And I think the fair thing to say about this Giant team is it's coached to perfection. And I think more importantly that people don't really know, this locker room loves each other. I mean, they love each other. This locker room is so connected. And so the brotherhood in that locker room is so it's fun to watch the pressers with them. It's a really good group. But Eagles have a lot of that too. There's a lot of, it's funny when you have teams that you can see those love each other and they'll fight to the death for one another. They stand up for each other. It goes a long way when, I think it was an old Eisenhower quote, right? It's amazing how far you can go when no one's looking for the credit.
Yeah, man. I always love, we get Eisenhower quotes and we get the Step Brothers poster behind Paul
Yeah,
Nolan.
right.
I mean, that's what you get when you get Paul Nolan here. And you can get a free
I'm a complicated man.
you can get a free weekend of picks as well when you text the word free. Text the word free, F-R-E-E, to 313-GET-INFO, 313-GET-INFO. That's 313-438-4636. Paul and the crew give you a full free weekend of their picks. Great time with the divisional round. Hey, Paul, let's talk about Sunday's games. Of course, everybody down here is cheering for Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the Bengals, just obviously with the LSU connection. But, man, I can imagine how emotional this is going to be. It's the game that we didn't get to see on Monday Night Football after Damar Hamlin suffered cardiac arrest on the field. Bengals at Bills. It's 2 o'clock Central, CBS on Sunday. Man, there's a lot emotionally to unpack, along with just how great these two football teams are. Where do you lean going into that game on Sunday?
Yeah, this is interesting, right? I mean, to me, you got a perfect weather game. It looks like this in the forecast right now. It's light snow, no wind, 33 degrees, just a dusting. So Joe Burrow also, obviously, this kid is so cool under pressure. He's 4-1 in these playoff games. He's been in big games. Nothing phases or rattles him. He's just so calm. He's so cool. He's so collected. He's 7-0 in games in freezing weather, at least under 38 degrees, I believe. So the weather won't have any factor on this thing. Last week he faces a Baltimore team that, again, you talk about familiarity and Harbaugh's coaching. They're really a good matchup for the Bengals. So I think the market's a little bit down on the Bengals and Burrow, but I know the market's down on the Bills too. I've heard a lot of people talking about what a disaster this offense is and how with Daboll gone, Josh Allen has kind of reverted back to his mistakes. And, it's funny to see two great teams, both with the market down against them right now. It's pretty interesting. But I do think the market has overreacted a little bit to the offensive line issues when you consider that, Jonah Williams actually, his replacement, Jackson Carman, look, Jonah Williams has not been playing great this year. He's been beat quite a bit. But now let's talk about him being able to maybe play, giving it a go. Yeah, he had the dislocated kneecap, but, it's a soft tissue issue where they can shoot him up and he's not going to do any further damage. And he might be able to go, and this would be a replacement. And I think right now with the line of 5.5, feels like a pretty good value to take Cincy right now. But there's so many systems that tell me that, man, the Bills are in a really good position too. So I'm not fully decided on this one yet, if it's okay for me to say that on air. I'm kind of waiting on injury reports before I make a final decision. I just don't want to mislead anybody in any direction and bet my bet if I'm not fully certain of it just yet. So that's one of the reasons why I love it when people text. I can give them the game Saturday morning, Sunday game on the text service where I'm up to date. It's just better than me winging it now. I feel so much more comfortable in certain situations. Sometimes I'm going to play the line based on I know value and I know that the line's going to move with some wise guys and groups that I know who are going to bet. This one here, no, I'm kind of waiting it out.
Okay. I'm going to go back. I want to ask you about one more about the Giants and the Eagles, but I'll come back to that. Dallas goes out to San Francisco. And, Paul, you and I talked a bit about this, that be it Dallas or Tampa, they were going to be at a disadvantage this week having to travel on a short week. So the Niners get an extra day. Dallas had to play on Monday and now has to go across the country. I'm looking at the Niners laying 4 thinking, okay, I'll put my kid through college on that one. I mean, what is that? I don't want to overreact to the day that Dallas had on Monday night. They looked incredible, but how do you? What's your early feel on the final game of the weekend?
Yeah, well, my early feel on this one is the under. I think the under is a really good value on this thing. I caught it, when this line broke and I saw there were 47s out there. I got a little piece at 47, and it's 46 in a lot of places, 46.5. I still think that's a pretty good value here, based on the fact that, look, I know the weather's supposed to be good. 51 degrees, 6 to 10 mile an hour winds as of now, but this Cowboy team has had its problems when they face a good pass rush. They do a great job in protecting, Dak overall, only 28 sacks against. But, I just think Bosa is going to have a nice little, I think he'll have a little advantage because he's cool with going to either side of the, well, in fact, both of these, Micah Parsons and Joey Bosa, both are capable of playing both sides of the line. They both like to bounce back and forth. In fact, Parsons is 60% against left tackles and Bosa is 60% against right tackles. But I think we're going to see them on their offside mostly, and I think you'll see Parsons against Mike McGlinchey, who's good. He's not terrible. He's a good tackle in this game, and he can play, and he did a great job against them last year when they played in the playoffs. And I think he'll hold his own. I think both offenses are going to kind of stay on schedule here. I don't think you're going to see a lot of big plays. But I do think Cowboys are going to have to live and die on those intermediate passing routes. And I think they're going to keep their offense on schedule that way because the secondary can be beat in San Fran. Travarius Ward kind of was having a phenomenal year until Metcalf kind of had his way with him last week. And he's bounced back very well this year. But I do feel like there is a soft spot a little bit, if you could call it one. San Fran's only made bugaboo, maybe that secondary, but they don't have the blitz. They could really scheme, and I think it's a coaching mismatch here. I think Shanahan's night and day above Mike McCarthy. So I like this game to be tight, close, and I think 3.5, 4 is the right number. So I'm not feeling any real value there, but I think under is a good, solid play. If people are afraid to call and they're not comfortable, I completely understand, but I can promise you we won't put you on a call list. We're not going to sell you data. Everything's private. Everything's honorable. So we won't betray your listeners, Matt. It'll stay in house, and we'll do the right thing. We'll give them our free picks, and hopefully we can put our money where our mouth is and prove to them that we're good people and good at what we do.
Man, you had an awesome year, Paul, in the NFL, and I'll obviously vouch for it. When Paul first started coming on the show, I did exactly what we said. I used the text line, got the picks texted to me. You could do it. Text the word free to 313-GET-INFO. Text the word free, FREE, to 313-GET-INFO. That's 313-438-4636. I'll send you the picks for the weekend. You could play them. And, seriously, Paul, congratulations, man. You had an awesome, awesome NFL season, and obviously gave our listeners the Ravens last week, which hit. And I'll lean here to the under in Dallas, San Francisco. I'm looking at 46 at DraftKings. Paul, you said there's maybe some 46.5s out there somewhere?
Yeah, I've seen some 46.5s out there. In fact, looking at my screen right now, BetUS has 46.5. I don't know if we could say that on here. Sure. FanDuel in New Jersey's got 46.5. I don't want to, go against any of your advertisers, but there's some values out there. I'm just curious what Natchez has right now. They usually have some soft numbers.
Yeah, you'd have to get. We'll see what Ott says. He'll be.
All right.
He'll be up there for sure. All right, Paul. Hey, wait, real quick. Last thing. Oh, I'm super short on time. Real quick, in less than a minute, do you think Giants, Eagles, do you think that line moves? Do you think we might see it get to 8?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of wise guys are playing the Eagles right now because the market's kind of depressed against them a little bit. And I think there's some value in this game. But, yeah, absolutely. I think that line's going to move, so hold out there. But if they guys text me, 313-GET-INFO, free, I promise I'll give my best bets all week, including NBA tonight.
He is Paul Nolan. Text the word free to 313-GET-INFO. That's 313-438-4636. Paul, you're the best, man. We appreciate it. Thanks.
It's always a pleasure, my friend. Have a great day.
All right, be well. We'll talk again next week, and we'll be previewing a championship Sunday in the NFL. We'll not got to break. Muse will wrap up the hour with Tigers in the pros. Don't you move.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. Agent225.com. I really want you to do this. I want you to take a quick second and do this. I want you to text the word plan, P-L-A-N. Text the word plan to 88,000. That's 88000. I tell you all the time, Darren James has a 150-point marketing plan to get your home sold faster for more money. And he will show you that plan. This isn't made up. Text the word plan, P-L-A-N, to 88,000. That's text the word plan, P-L-A-N, to 88000, and you'll get an immediate text back with a PDF or a Dropbox link to Darren's marketing plan. You can see exactly the detail that Darren and his team use to get your home sold faster for more money. And Darren James always guarantees. Call Darren or any one of his team members. You are guaranteed to get a response within 15 minutes, guaranteed. It's Darren James. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. She resigned under a huge cloud of controversy. Multiple children dead on her watch. Tonight, the WBRZ investigative unit is looking into a large party held to celebrate her during work hours. It comes after another child died under the watch of DCFS. Employees telling the investigative unit the party was tone deaf. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. Stephen A. Smith in 10 minutes. Right now, Muso has Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
I actually want to start with golf today. Because Sam Burns and Ben Taylor are tearing it up at the American Express. So they play this tournament on 3 different courses. Both Sam Burns and Ben Taylor are playing the toughest course today.
Son of a bugger.
And Sam Burns is tied for second. He's 8 under par through 13 holes. Shot 29 on the front.
Let's go.
29 on the front nine. So far, 8 birdies, no bogeys for Sam Burns. Again, tied for second. Ben Taylor, also playing PGA West Stadium course, the toughest of the 3, is 5 under par through 12 holes. Ben Taylor, after bogey number 4, rattled off 4 straight birdies to shoot 33 on the front. Then birdie 10 and 11 to get to 5 under par. He's tied for 21st. So that's a heck of a way to start your tournament if you are both Sam Burns and Ben Taylor. On to the NBA, where last night Tari Eason contributed 19 minutes off the bench for the Houston Rockets. Shot 3 of 11 from the floor. One of those was a 3, 7 points in all for Tari. 5 rebounds and an assist round out his night. The Rockets lost again. And Naz Reid, starting role for Naz last night for the Timberwolves. 26 minutes, 4 of 9, 9 of 10 from the stripe, 17 points in all. He would add 3 rebounds, 2 assists, block 3 shots. Again, a little bit of foul trouble with 5 personals, but overall, +2. Solid night for Nas. The Nuggets downed the Timberwolves. So that is Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. That's lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, thrill her with a gift in the red box. No matter your budget, style preference, you will always get the Lee Michaels experience with 2 locations in Baton Rouge, corporate in Bocage, and in the Mall of Louisiana. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. That's lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. How about this? Remember when Cam Jordan was accused of faking an injury? Yet, the guy that in his entire decade-plus career has missed 2 games, one because of COVID, which was a farce, and the second because he broke a bone in his eye, and he didn't even want to miss a game. They accused that guy of faking an injury, and they were going to fine him $50,000. Well, Cam Jordan has won his appeal against the NFL. And the truth shall set you free. Thank goodness for that. Some things just make way too much sense. So Cam Jordan wins his appeal against the NFL. That's fantastic news. All right, it's after further review. Speaking of the Saints, Randy Mueller was with us earlier this hour. Great conversation about how, from a GM's perspective, how you handle the Sean Payton situation. But I do want to look ahead for the Saints. The latest on Payton, and was in hindsight that trade to get Chris Olave worth it? We'll get to all that. Coming up right after Sports Center, Stephen A. Smith joins us next. AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com. Always encourage you to get to the website. It's a great resource for you if you want to learn more about the patented non-toxic dry fog treatment that I keep telling you about. You can go to mold-0usa.com. It'll kill mold and remove odors. Yes, it kills mold, but dozens of other pathogens as well. So learn more at mold-0usa.com, mold-0usa.com. It's pretty easy, y'all. They come in, they spray their fog, you let the fog dwell, kills the mold and all the spores, eliminates odor. As soon as the fog dissipates, you're free and clear to go back in your home, your office building, which will be clean, mold-free, fresh-smelling, removing all odors. It's Mold Zero. Mold-0usa.com. Give Jim Woodworth and the gang call over at Mold Zero, servicing the entire greater Baton Rouge and greater New Orleans areas. Online, mold-0usa.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corvell Toyota family to yours.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications. The powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility. Moving faster than ever before. Streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infinity QX80.
Experience the Infinity QX80 at your local Infinity retailer.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Greg Roman stepped down as Ravens offensive coordinator amid massive criticism and player frustration. Baltimore's scoring had decreased in each of Roman's 4 seasons as the team's play caller. This move likely made with pending free agent quarterback Lamar Jackson in mind, says Fitz and Harry co-host Harry Douglas.
This could be a stepping stone in the direction that the Baltimore Ravens needed to go for Lamar Jackson, number one, to thrive as a quarterback, even more so than he has since he's been in the National Football League, but also a stepping stone for them to repair their relationship that has been rocky the last few weeks.
Ravens coach John Harbaugh and GM Eric DeCosta expressing confidence they'll be able to re-sign Jackson, said he'll be part of the OC search. Several changes in Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers fired offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. 8 other coaches left the staff. Tampa Bay in 2022 ranked 25th in the NFL in points per game, also had the league's worst rushing attack. Longtime Notre Dame basketball coach Mike Brey will step down after this season, capping off a 23-year run in which he became the winningest coach in program history.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. It is not often that you get a guest on the show that literally needs no introduction to your audience, but this is one of those occasions. The one and only Stephen A. Smith joins us now. He's got a new book, Straight Shooter, which is coming out, and a huge event this Saturday in New Orleans where you can meet Stephen A., have a meet and greet, and a Q&A. So looking forward to that event on Saturday in NOLA. Stephen A., it's our pleasure. How are you?
Hey, guys. Good afternoon. How you doing? How you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. The thing everybody wants to know, when's Britt coming back to General Hospital?
I'm literally going back there in a week to tape a scene for 2 days.
Yes.
To tape a few scenes for 2 days. I'm coming back. I'm going back to General Hospital, Port Charles on the 30th and the 31st to tape a few scenes that will probably air about 3 weeks later.
That's so good. Do you film that in L.A. or in New York?
Yes, that is filmed in L.A.
Man, how much travel do you do?
Believe it or not, it's not that much. It used to be considerably more. When I was a beat writer for the Philadelphia 76ers, covering the Philadelphia Inquirer, and then after that working for ESPN while I was at the Philadelphia Inquirer, I easily traveled over 200 days out of the year. That is significantly less. It's like a third of that now. And even that's pushing it from time to time. I split my time between New York and L.A. a lot. Most of the time I'm in New York. I would say it's about a 70 to 30% split. Outside of that, I really don't go on the road too much until the conference finals and then the NBA finals.
You know, it's interesting. One of our good friends is Ryan Clark. Obviously lives here in Baton Rouge and comes on the show with us quickly. And you know, I watched the interview that you did with the fellas on the Pivot, and
yes,
I thought it was fascinating learning about you. It was one of the reasons I'm excited about the book, because when someone's so public, you feel like you know a lot, but then you really don't know. So I was curious about this. You described your writing for the Philadelphia Inquirer and your career, but at what point do you have a moment when you realize or recognize like the birth of Stephen A, like of the, I hesitate to call it a character, but I think you understand what I mean, where that became?
I would tell you when I first arrived at First Take, when Skip Bayless asked me to come on board in 2012. The first month, we catapulted to number one. And the bosses wanted to do an ad campaign and what have you to really sort of, promote our friendship, because we went at each other so vehemently that they felt it was important that we really showcased to the world we actually were friends. Mm-hmm. And when, I was resistant to it because I thought that it wasn't necessary, but I capitulated. And then as the friendship was more publicized, the show became more popular. And as the show became more popular, my popularity soared. And I realized at that moment that whatever I thought existed when I had, quite frankly, back from 2005 to 2007, when I was doing NBA shoot around at the time, which is now called the NBA Countdown, it was nothing compared to what had happened once I became synonymous with First Take. Everything was about me, the YouTube videos and stuff like that. Over the last several years, I've averaged more than 1.5 billion views annually on YouTube. And so when I saw that kind of stuff happening, it really hit home. And then obviously walking the streets everywhere I went and getting the kind of reaction that I get, that definitely changed over the course of time. And it was official that I was no longer just that reporter that used to write for the Philadelphia Inquirer that people had heard about. It was something different now.
The book is Straight Shooter by Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. is going to be in NOLA this Saturday, 4 p.m. at Baldwin Company. You get tickets for the meet and greet. Every ticket purchase also comes with a copy, a hardback cover copy of the book as well, Straight Shooter, which you could buy wherever you buy books. Stephen A., I'm curious, why write a book at this point in your career? What are people going to learn about Stephen A. in the book that maybe they don't already know from watching you and consuming you in so many places already publicly?
They're not going to learn it. They're not going to, they didn't know about my relationship with my father. They didn't know that I suffered from dyslexia. They didn't know the nuances and the intimate details of the controversies that I had been in my career at ESPN, from losing, quite frankly, to ultimately getting fired, to getting rehired, to getting suspended, to finding myself in controversies like Shohei Ohtani and some of the backroom conversations and things of that nature that transpired, things that helped shape and formulate my perspective, my beliefs, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot that people don't know about me because I am, contrary to what people would believe, I'm a very, very private person. I don't have anything to hide. I'm just my mother's child. And my mother didn't have anything to hide either when she was alive before she passed away in 2017. But she was a firm believer that your business is your business and your business isn't for everybody to know. And so I would answer the question that way by saying there's a lot that people will learn about me, how I come to think the way that I think, be the way that I am, what I endured to get here that they never heard before.
He is the one and only Stephen A. Smith. Straight Shooter is the book, wherever you get books. And again, the event this Saturday in New Orleans. Do you like doing meet and greet events like that? I mean, they're expecting Stephen A. like 1,000 people at this thing.
That shocked me. People tell me that my manager and a lot of people tell me all the time I'm the most normal acting, superstar they know. I've never considered myself a superstar. I don't talk about myself like that. I've been in press boxes, locker rooms. I still do those things to this day. The only thing that drastically changed for me, fellas, is that when I go into an arena, I have to go really early or I have to come really late. I learned that years ago. I pulled up for an Eagles game, and media parking was directly across the street from the media entrance. And it took me an hour and a half to get to the media entrance because of the pictures and the autographs that I found. One time I was in Indy at the Geico Fieldhouse witnessing a Miami Heat Indiana Pacers game, and literally somebody came up to me and had asked me for my autograph. It happened to me in Philly too. And I said, when a timeout takes place, and they said, sir, I don't mean to bother you, but I can't stand here and wait. And if I wait, if I have to leave, I'm going to have to get to the back of the line. And I said, what line? And I turned around, and the line was halfway around the arena for people looking for my autograph. And so when you've got a whole bunch of folks that you consider colleagues and contemporaries, you're on the same level they're on. You're doing the same things that they do, but people are stopping to wait for me. The game has changed, and it was time for me to realize that, and that's really what throws me for a loop. So when I hear 1,000 people, I'm still shocked by that. I never expect anything like that. I'm incredibly grateful and thankful, but it's not something I truly anticipate. But no matter who's there, I'll be there. And I love communicating with people and talking with them. I love the Q&As. I love the questions from folks. I love doing that stuff.
The event is Saturday, 4 p.m. at Baldwin & Company. It's on Elysian Fields. You can get your tickets there at the Baldwin & Company website. We'll tweet out the link as well. I don't know. I would assume it's going to cap at a certain number of tickets that they're going to sell. But there are tickets available if you want to go meet Stephen A., to be there for the Q&A, the meet and greet this Saturday, 4 p.m. at Baldwin & Company on Elysian Fields. Stephen A., it's a pleasure. I know it's going to be a great event on Saturday. A favorite spot in New Orleans before you go? Place you always got to hit?
No favorite spot. You guys have the best restaurants on the planet. You want to eat. New Orleans is the spot to hit. I know that. My family knows that. Everybody knows that. So because of that, I'm looking forward to it no matter what. But here's the problem, guys. I'm coming to New Orleans, and I might not even have any time to eat because I got to race straight there, and I got to stay there, until they tell me it's time to leave. So I don't know what my schedule is going to be like or what I'm in store for. I just got to be ready.
We'll tell RC to make sure he sneaks in some Acme oyster house or something like that.
Oh, please! His greedy self might eat the food himself. He might not give me a bite.
No, man,
you can't trust him.
He'll be full up on honey buns and all the snacks and everything. We know how he goes. All right.
Well, that's my guy. That's my brother right there. I love him to death.
He's an awesome dude. Stephen A., it's a pleasure, man. Thank you for some time. We're looking forward to the event on Saturday.
Thank you so much. Take care.
That's our pleasure. Stephen A. Smith. Again, the book is Straight Shooter, and Stephen A. is coming to New Orleans. That's this Saturday at 4 p.m. at Baldwin & Company on Elysian Fields. The ticket link is through the Baldwin & Company website. It's an Eventbrite link, but you can find it if you just Google it. But again, it's this Saturday at 4 p.m., man. They're going to cap it with the number, but they're expecting a whole herd of people. He's going to be there. The tickets are $30, but that gets you a copy of the book as well. So you're buying the book and the opportunity to go meet Stephen A. and sit there for the Q&A. I'll tell you this, and I think, I don't know, Cade and I were talking about this earlier. I've met Stephen A. twice when First Take came to New Orleans. And one was the All-Star game in was it the NBA All-Star game in 2016 or 27? Was it 16 or 17? It came in back-to-back years. Wasn't it back-to-back years they came here for the All-Star game? I forget which year it was. And then for the national championship game with LSU and Clemson. And when First Take goes on location, which year it was?
17 is the last time it's been here.
So 17. But I'm pretty sure they came back-to-back years. I don't think I remember that correctly. Anyway, whatever. But I think you're right. I think it was 2017. And so whenever they come and they have a studio audience, they always have someone that is sort of the MC of the event. And because of our relationship with ESPN, they asked me to do it those 2 times. So, believe me, you're nothing more than a glorified court jester. You're basically entertaining the studio audience while the talent is getting ready for the next segment. Well, they want to make sure the energy stays up. So basically, your job is to go out there. My job is to go just, keep people engaged and keep the energy up during commercial breaks. Okay. But when we're backstage, you're backstage with everybody, with all the people on the show and everything like that. And I'll tell you, it was similar with Ric Flair, because Ric Flair was there that day. And backstage, Ric Flair was just a man in his late 60s who was just, there drinking coffee and talking with everybody. But as soon as the curtain opened and he went out, he was the nature boy. He transformed. I would say the same about Stephen A. It was backstage, he was sipping his coffee and doing show prep but as soon as the lights were, when he walked out, right, and everybody was there to see him. When he walked out, it was Stephen A. chants, and he's strutting around, and he's taking pictures, and he's giving the guy with the Cowboys jersey on all the business. I mean, he just became the character, Stephen A. So what I'd say is I don't have any doubt at all that everything he says, he authentically believes. But he is a performer. And there ain't nobody better in this business. Whether you love him or hate him, the reality is he gets a reaction from everybody. Everybody has an opinion on him, right? And that is when you have reached the pinnacle. And he is there, man. So highest paid employee at ESPN. You know his value. Stephen A. Smith. Again, the book Straight Shooter. Wherever you get books, wherever books are sold. But Baldwin & Company, Saturday at 4 o'clock is where you can go meet Stephen A. for the meet and greet on Elysian Fields in New Orleans. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks to Stephen A. for a couple of minutes. Randy Mueller last hour, also Paul Nolan. If you miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org. Well, now I got a quick break. Come back. I do want to reset some of the Saints conversation, including the Saints have done it. They done made the big move we all expected. They blew out the running game coordinator, old Dan Roushar. He's gone. Thank goodness, right? That's where all your problems started and ended, right? Was Dan Roushar. Anyway. All right, it's After Further Review.
AFR.
Thursday, great night to get by Pluckers, Nicholson, or Bluebonnet. Get on by and see our friends at Pluckers, because every Thursday is all-you-can-eat boneless buffalo bites. That's right. My guy, Stevie Levy, the king of the wing, slinging them boneless buffalo bites for one low price tonight and every Thursday. This is beautiful white meat, breaded, fried, tossed in your favorite wing sauce, and eat as many of them as you want all night long, every Thursday at Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet, right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. You got NBA action tonight. You got NHL. Colucci's bets are coming up. You want to watch all the NHL action? You can do it at Pluckers. Either location. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery, Uber Eats and DoorDash. Remember, it's Pluckers, where if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Bayou Ford has $4,000 off MSRP plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on new 22 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. That's $5,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
What a busy day for LSU as the football program has really put a button on its transfer class. Omar Spates, an all Pac-12 linebacker from Oregon State, announced his transfer to LSU today. So again, the portal deadline ended yesterday. But players can choose their school whenever. So you may get more transfer decisions, and that was clearly a spot LSU needed help, and they got it with Omar Spates, an all Pac-12 line, first team all Pac-12, spent 4 years there in Corvallis, and has 2 years of eligibility remaining because of the COVID year. And then this actually is just breaking. Ryan Robinson, who is a 2023 cornerback out of Edna Carr, put on his social media just a bit ago that he is committed to LSU. So the graphic is out there. Glenn West of 247 is reporting that this is as a PWO, as a preferred walk-on, that he'll join LSU. So Robinson from Edna Carr, like we mentioned, of course, LSU, deep ties in the New Orleans area in recruiting. Frank Wilson. He's a 3-star in the composite. He's the number 70 overall cornerback in the country, and he's got scholarship offers from Power 5 schools, which, if this is in fact, and again, I don't know, I'm reading what is being reported here by Glenn West of 247, which is that and others, which is that he's joining LSU as a preferred walk-on. What's interesting is this is a guy who's got Power 5 offers. He's got scholarship offers from Nebraska, Arkansas, Auburn, Colorado, Duke, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisville, Michigan State, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Oregon. I mean, I'm reading off his offers as listed at 247. These are the Power 5 offers. Tennessee, Virginia. So he's recruited by Robert Steeples and Frank Wilson. And I'll say this again. And sometimes this is in one ear and out the other, but this is a good illustration of what I say often, and that while LSU in an NIL era may not be the most competitive NIL program ever, they'll never be that, right? The advantage that LSU has is the dirt. There are young people in this state who would give a leg to play at LSU. And here you have a young guy that's a 3-star cornerback who has he's got 20 offers. He's got Power 5. He's a 3-star. He's got Power 5 offers. And he's choosing to walk on at LSU. There's value in the dirt. And maybe, and I would presume what would happen here is he walks on, makes the team, whatever, uses PWO, eventually maybe gets on scholarship, whatever. But that's the advantage that LSU has in Louisiana. And it's not always going to work for every student. Now, there's going to be guys that leave. There's going to be guys that choose to play elsewhere. But, I mean, you got a guy here that's a 3-star, that's, you know, the 247 composite, the 70th best cornerback in the country, that's got Power 5 offers from big-time programs, and he's saying, I'm going to go walk on at LSU. That's powerful. And that is a draw. 5'11", 180. And LSU gets a little more depth there in the cornerback room with Ryan Robinson's commitment. All right, it's after further review. Appreciate y'all for being here with us, as always. Love telling you about the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com for the Williamson Eye Center. Man, if it's eye care, eyewear, or eye surgery, they do it all. If you want to go have your annual eye exam, which you should always have your annual eye exam, the Williamson Eye Center, any of their locations. Eyewear, of course, if you wear contacts or glasses, they'll sell them to you. Got a great selection. And eye surgery. No matter your age or your refractive issue, the Williamson Eye Center has a refractive option for you. It's the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020 to set up that free consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson to see what path he can put you on to seeing 2020. It's 924-2020. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com. So, Mark Ingram was a guest on Up and Adams with Kate Adams, and said he's looking in he's a free agent running back, obviously. He's not under contract. So this is worth keeping an eye on to see what the Saints might do at the running back spot. First of all, here's Mark Ingram on what he's looking for in free agency.
The opportunity to be a champion, the opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Obviously, I want to be able to have a significant role on the team and be able to, show what I can do to help the team win. I feel like I still have that ability. I still have that desire and that passion to go out and perform at a high level to be able to help my team win. Number two would be, the opportunity for me individually to be able to help the team win a Super Bowl as well.
And as far as his relationship with the Saints, which is the team that drafted him and then traded for him a year ago, here's what Ingram said.
All options are on the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love the Who Dat Nation. That's where I belong. But, all options are on the table. This thing is a business. I love to be back in New Orleans with my guys because I feel like we can accomplish that there. But we'll see.
So we'll keep an eye on Mark Ingram, another guy here this offseason that the Saints will have to make a decision on. Running back is clearly a spot where they were weak. You had Alvin Kamara. You remember, we talked so much in this past offseason about Kamara and the incident at the nightclub in Las Vegas where, or I guess in the hotel in Las Vegas, where it ultimately led to his arrest and could eventually lead to a suspension. We were told that would be put off until the 2023 season. So now you're thin at running back. You're going into 2023 where that Kamara suspension may manifest. Ingram's injured. We'll see what his future holds. And you've polished off this year with the likes of Eno Benjamin and David Johnson. You need help at running back. And I don't know that I certainly, you know my feeling on it. Mark Ingram's not the answer, but the Saints will have a decision to make there. The other conversation that is just going to lead so much of the conversation around the Saints this offseason, of course, is Sean Payton. If you weren't here an hour ago, Randy Mueller was here, former Saints GM, who does a lot of media, does a podcast, the GM podcast for The Athletic. He does a ton of radio and media. He does a great job. It's always great to get that perspective. And so I wanted to talk to Randy as a GM on what that evaluating that Sean Payton situation is like. Who ultimately makes those decisions, et cetera. And so we covered a lot of ground. I would highly recommend you go back and check out that interview if you didn't hear it, because we talked a lot about how he would handle the negotiation, What's the dollar amount Sean Payton is worth? What type of compensation would you want? Who's realistically in play here? All those things from a GM's perspective was interesting. But Randy Mueller did say this, and this was maybe the part of the interview that caught my ear the most when he was talking about Carolina.
I don't think he will ever negotiate with Carolina. To me, that's suicide. You're putting him in the same division. It makes no sense. I don't care what they're willing to pay. So maybe they use that as a bargaining chip, they as in the Saints, to get more from somebody else. I don't know.
He called negotiating with Carolina suicide, that he would never do that. You would never bring Sean Payton back in the division. So maybe you use that as a bargaining chip for another team. That was the other thing that really struck me about the conversation with Randy, because my uncertainty, and again, this is just my lack of knowledge, right? It's just my ignorance, not being someone in the front office. So you have to ask someone like that who knows, is who makes that decision? Is it Sean Payton chooses where he wants to go and then says, okay, now go negotiate a deal? Or is it the Saints that say, okay, they're giving us the best offer, this is where you can go? And that's something that ultimately we'll see play out. The other thing Randy Mueller said, when I asked him, if he had to pick, what does he think? And again, he's not breaking any news, doesn't know anything. He's just looking at all the things we're looking at outside looking in. He thought Denver was probably the most likely landing spot. Colin Cowherd on his show today did share this little nugget about Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
And I talked to Sean about this, and some of this I'll convey, some I won't. But the reality with Russell Wilson, most people understand the problem with Russell right now. He's too isolated. So they believe in Denver, Sean can fix it. And Russell Wilson has contacted Sean, legally, by the way, through channels. He wants Sean Payton. He needs fixing. He knows he needs fixing.
I'll remind you again, when last year in the offseason, when it looked like Russell Wilson might be out in Seattle, the Saints were he had a no-trade clause. The Saints were on the list of teams to which he would have accepted a trade. And it was a list of 3 or 4 teams, and the Saints were on it. And that was an opportunity to be in New Orleans and work with Sean Payton. So that does look more and more realistic. If you're wondering about compensation, remember the Broncos traded their first-round pick in the Russell Wilson deal. So Houston has that pick. But I'm sorry, excuse me, Seattle has that pick. Excuse me, obviously. Seattle has that pick, but Denver also has the pick that they acquired in the Bradley Chubb deal, which is Miami via San Francisco. So you're looking at San Francisco and what happens with them this year and where that pick is ultimately going to land. And it's going to be a late first-round pick, but there's a lot of reason that makes sense. So how do those negotiations and that bargaining get done with Sean Payton and whoever with Mickey Loomis, the Saints, and whoever might land Sean Payton services? It feels like we're getting closer to resolution on that front here with what's going to be next for Sean Payton. All right, it's after further review. We're going to knock out a quick break. When we come back, something I did also want to talk about, and we'll check the poll question of the day as well. Poll question was, you can go to @1045ESPN on Twitter, the Citizens Bank and Trust poll question. It was, how would you grade LSU in the portal season? ESPN gave LSU a B+, said they knocked him down a tick because of losing Walker Howard. But as far as what LSU attained in the portal, was very solid. We'll get what your thoughts were when we come back on AFR, and also we'll sort of reset the story of the day with respect to the Saints. If you haven't heard yet, Pete Carmichael is going to be retained. The Saints did fire a staff member today, so we'll talk about that when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $8,500 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. New 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $8,500 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right. Bayou.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, Muse, update the poll question if you would today.
Sure. All right. So today's Citizens Bank poll question of the day: what grade would you give LSU's transfer portal haul so far? 70% say A.
What were the other grades?
B or C.
You didn't give an option for a D?
Nobody was going to give LSU a D.
You got to give them the option.
Only 3% gave them a C. No one was giving them a D.
It doesn't matter. You have to give them the option. You have 4 lines for the poll.
Look, I was just gauging the audience there. That can be the poll question tomorrow. Would you have given LSU a D on their transfer portal?
But so just for the sake of conversation. All right, I'll bring it up in a completely different way.
Okay.
SEC Media Days.
Yeah.
People vote on the order of finish, right, and projected SEC champion.
Yeah.
Every year one person votes for?
Vanderbilt.
We talk about it because?
Because it's absurd.
Right. That's why you give them the option.
You should actually take Vanderbilt off that poll, now that I think about it.
It's why you give them the option to point out the absurdity of some people. For example, the reason I talk about that is to say, don't take these results very seriously, the SEC Media Day stuff, because there's somebody who's a credentialed member of the media who voted for Vanderbilt to win the SEC. Like, they're either doing that because they're stupid they're making a mockery of it intentionally, or they're trying to prove a point that it means that. Either way, it creates conversation around it, which is why you give people the option to express themselves. However, give them the option. Just give them the option. You don't have to decide for them. Let them decide. They can have the option.
If we're using the Vanderbilt thing as an example, what I should have done is skipped D entirely and just put F.
F, yes. F. Give me an F.
Because that's what Vanderbilt is.
Yes, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt went over there.
They're 5 and 7. 5 and 7. Clark
Hold
Lee,
on.
best program. They're coming. Watch
Vanderbilt,
out.
you put some respect on their name,
Yeah.
okay? That was an impressive year by Vanderbilt.
D-.
The fact that Vanderbilt?
No, just overall as a program.
Oh, as a program, Vanderbilt's atrocious. But this year, they deserve.
Fantastic.
Their win total was 2, 2.5.
3. I thought it was 3.
I think it was 2.5.
Oh, okay.
Because
you needed 3.
You needed 3. Right.
You needed 3.
They doubled their win total.
It was great.
I mean,
beat Florida.
Great for them. Great. They got 2 conference wins. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I don't know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is give people the option. That's all I'm saying. You can always text the show, the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. By the way, Muse, remind me in just a second, I'm coming back to you because someone at Oliver Twist last night is taking issue with something that you did not do successfully at Oliver Twist last night. Yes, we'll get the audible groan. We're going to get to that in a second. Chris Copeland, I was talking about in the last segment, Ryan Robinson. So Ryan Robinson, a 3-star cornerback out of Edna Carr, committed to LSU today as a preferred walk-on. Had like 20-some-odd offers, a lot of Power 5 offers, but passed on them to join LSU. Chris Copeland texted and said his NIL deal is greater than the scholarship value. Let me be very clear about something, Chris Copeland. I don't know you at all, and I'm sure you're a wonderful person. By the nature of the fact that you're listening to the show, you clearly are a very wise person, but I'm going to make you a little smarter. I do not know this definitively. Okay, so I'm not stating this as a fact. But I would fall out of my chair stunned if Chris Copeland has an NIL deal through LSU's collective. Stunned. LSU is very, very, I will tell you numbers. You just saw Florida have a reported deal of $13 million on the table for one guy. Auburn's collective has raised over $13 million in total. Ole Miss's is north of $11 million in total. LSU is north of $2 million that the collective has raised to this point. LSU is, I don't care what the narrative is out there. Do not be deceived. Don't let anybody fool you. LSU's very, very far behind in fundraising for NIL, okay? The benefit, and I'm going to say again, that LSU always has is the dirt, the loyalty that a lot of people have. Harold Perkins could have left. Will Campbell could have left. Emory Jones could have left all after the season. DeMario Tolan did lose. But if I gave you those 4, and I said, all right, you got to lose one. Perkins, Campbell, Jones, Tolan, which one you lose? I think we all know the answer. Tolan's a great player, but we know what happened there. My point is, Ryan Robinson didn't pick LSU because he got an NIL deal worth more than the scholarship. I'll tell you that because I know starting caliber players that didn't get from LSU's collective the value of a scholarship. What's the semester at LSU? 30 grand? Is that about it? Do we know? Can you Google what the value of a scholarship is at LSU? I don't know what it is for a semester, but whatever it is, I'm telling you, he didn't get that. All right, Muse. I did say I wanted to talk about Chris Olave and if the trade was worth it. ESPN ranked the rookies in the NFL this year, and they had Chris Olave 3rd, and he was 1st among offensive players. He's going to have a really good shot of winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'd be very curious if he does. And even if he does or doesn't, still a magnificent season. But the question is going to persist, was the trade worth it? Could you have gotten a good wide receiver, a talented wide receiver later in the draft and not use the draft capital you did to move up? I think the answer is yes. I mean, look at George Pickens. George Pickens would have been available to you later if you wanted. He had a great year in Pittsburgh. So in time, we'll answer that question. But a great rookie year for Chris Olave. Great player. but was it worth the price? If the Saints continue to wallow in mediocrity, you're probably going to look back and say no. But that's in time. All right, Muse, what you got? Did you find it?
No, not anything reliable. One said $500 to $1,000, and that's just not true. I think because it ranges so much, there's different scholarships. Like athletic scholarship is going to be different than I don't know, just a.
This is from
scholarship name.
This is from LSU.edu. The undergraduate cost is $11,900. Okay, that's before housing and all the other stuff. So $12,000 for the yearly direct tuition cost before fees and all that sort of stuff. So $12,000. I'm telling you, Ryan Robinson didn't get $12,000 NIL deal. All right, Muse, explain yourself. Our buddy Cliff Nelson. Oh, really?
What?
That was
snickering.
Please ask Muso about the blind beer taste test he failed, all caps, after talking all the smack about how he could differentiate Miller Lite blindfolded.
Yeah, I did. I was irrationally confident. The video of it actually is on my Instagram story at Matthew Muso 1. If you want to go watch it.
Shout out.
If you want to watch me fail, drop a follow for your boy too if you care to. A Miller Lite, I love it. It's great. And I was irrationally confident that I could pick it out of a lineup blindfolded, and I did not. I failed. And actually, at the end of that video, Cliff gives me the business because I failed. What made it worse was the beer that was Miller Lite. I actually took multiple sips of, and that made it worse. And that honestly should have been my clue. That you went back to the well on that one because obviously you liked it. So not my proudest moment. And I was very, very confident that I could do it, and I did not do it.
You think I could do it?
I'm gonna say no, just because I don't. I mean, you don't really drink that type of beer, do you? I mean, you're not a big domestic light guy, huh?
Oh, I have drank my.
Well, I know you have. I know you have. I'm not saying you haven't. I'm saying you don't really now, right?
What beers were part of the?
It was Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, and Miller Lite. Those were the three. And
you couldn't pick a Miller Lite out of those three, and that's your beer of choice.
Now you see why I was so irrationally confident. And I'll tell you, Matt.
I'm embarrassed for you.
Bro, I was not.
I'm embarrassed
I'm
for you.
still mad about it, actually. Yeah. When you drink them all back to back, it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. It was a lot. I'd like to do it without having any beer prior and see if that would make it better. I mean, you got to keep in mind, this was after the show.
So while T-Bob and I are working, you're slugging beers. Doing nothing.
It's not true. It's not nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's not nothing. I mean, I'm making sure the stream doesn't crash, things of that nature.
You're doing nothing.
Yeah.
You sit over there, slug beers while we host the show. You're doing nothing. But it's just okay. Your job is to get us on the air and then pack up all the stuff when we're done. That's your
job. Pretty much. So it's after the show. So there's been beer consumed.
Yes.
And maybe a shot here or there. So, look, maybe
I am the most sober person at all of these events.
Maybe just a clean palate.
Maybe so.
And I can do it. But no, I failed, and I'm still pretty bummed about it, man, because it's my beer of choice. I love it.
You know what?
Diet Miller.
I'm having this realization. And earlier today, I was listening to OTB while I was dropping Drew off at school, and T-Bob starts telling this story about my mom typing words, how fast she can type. She's been a secretary receptionist, so she's very fast. And he tells Hester on air that, and Hester's like, why were you talking about Matt? He's like, Matt's mom's typing. And he goes, oh, Matt said my mom could beat you in typing, which is factually inaccurate. I was telling a story about how we were talking about college and how I almost didn't graduate because I've told this story before. I had to take a 1-hour online typing course, and I had my mom do the work for me. And so I was telling him this story, and he's like, well, how many words can she type per minute? I'm like, I don't know. So I called her and asked her. And so whatever, 120 or whatever it is, I don't know. But anyway, so he just completely fabricated the whole thing. And then Hester's like, yeah, of course Scone did that. I'm like, no, that's not at all what happened. But it's because you, not just you, but You and T-Bob and everybody around you're all drunk. I'm around drunk people. Like, I am the sober guy around the drunk people. That's what I've become professionally here later in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really argue with that. No, I mean,
the amount of times the Bob Hebert has fabricated stories because he just doesn't remember what we actually talked about.
He gets brought a lot of drinks.
Yeah.
Like a lot of drinks, man. It's a good time. Everybody come out to Oliver Twist on Wednesday night.
Find out what story T-Bob's going to make up next.
Pluck out of thin air.
All right, it's after further review. Honor Locks is next.
AFR.
I was trying to transition to Rouse's, and I just had nothing in my brain. All right, Rouse's.com. It's carnival season. Go to Rouse's.com, and get your king cakes. Rouse's has so many different fillings. You can get your traditional king cakes. You can get your cream cheese, your strawberry cream cheese, your praline. Yes, praline, not praline. You can even go to Google, do the little speaker microphone where it tells you how to pronounce it. It says praline. You know I'm talking to all you praline people out there. Anyway, get your king cakes from Rouse's. They're delicious. They're plentiful, and they will ship your king cakes anywhere. So go to Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Right there on the homepage, it says, now shipping king cakes. You can't miss it. It's gigantic. So pick your favorite king cake that you want shipped to anyone in the country, and they'll ship it for you at Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
Bayou Ford has $4,000 off MSRP plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on new 22 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. That's $5,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications. The powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution. A network built for every possibility. Moving faster than ever before. Streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, Otter Locks, go.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
All right, Otter, how are you?
Doing good. I mean, Hanny's yapping in the background trying to do a seg. Hanny, I know you need some break. Come on, Hanny.
You just give him so much crap all the time. And he gets so flustered.
My boy, man.
I
My
know.
Boy.
All right,
I know we're combined 64 years of experience between us.
I love it. All right, what we got tonight, Otter?
All right, let's get a cologne juice. All right. How about last week we gave you the we had one and we're about to close out the other one.
Dallas.
0.2 seconds. 0.2 seconds. And of course, on Friday we bring it up to Bruce Marshall. You've met Bruce at SEC Media Day. You talk about an encyclopedia of history, and I mean, is that the latest ever goal to decide a game?
1 minute remaining.
No, so, but 0.1 second. Well, thank you, Bruce.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks,
so here we go.
okay.
Columbia and Carolina. Both are a favorite, like $1.65, $1.77. Split them up. Split it up, half unit on the puck line, half unit on the money line is what I would do. Or you could do the puck line separate and parlay the two money lines. I'll split them up, though.
Okay. Columbus.
And Carolina.
Seabus and Carolina. Got it.
Yep, first two in the rotation. Basketball, favorite play. Carlos Stewart from Dunham, man. He and the transfer in the backcourt are really tough. They're at home, only laying 2. Best numbers at Caesars at -2. Santa Clara, -2.5. And then Arizona State at home, +5 against UCLA.
What was the first basketball game? I got 3 seconds.
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. Thank you, Otter.
All right, thanks.
AFR.
I think we missed a basketball game. We're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. You know where to find them. It's Shawbills, the home of the Charlie's Dozen. Every time you buy tires at Shawbills, they extend to you 12 great benefits, including free tire repair, free tire rotation, free balancing as needed as well. It's at Shawbills. Ask about the Charlie's Dozen when you go to Shawbills. Log on to ShawBillsTire.com. That's ShawBillsTire.com with 17 locations and an 18th coming soon. Highly recommend you get to the website, hit the promotions tab at the top, and you'll see if you're looking to buy tires, you'll see all the great deals that they have. And remember, you can always use your Shawbills credit card to get even better deals at Shawbills. It's bumper-to-bumper auto service, name brand tires at wholesale prices, and at Shawbills, they are the home of Charlie's Dozen. ShawBillsTire.com. It's Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.